any trades, and if they do, they'll be covering it with the super chats, with the the chat that's going on there. And of course, you don't need to super chat. Make sure you do tag Sharif and Joe. Let them know what you're looking at.
Exactly.
And it's the midday show. Me and this guy will be back near 2 p.m. So join us then.
Little
yeah, for Fed, and they'll be talking all about the Fed during the midday. Some small cap runners as well. Bitcoin. Joe's back in the building. He's talking all about Ethereum. And of course, when Joe comes back, Bitcoin's up $1,000 here. Was 117 and change. Now we're at 118.7. All right, that's Neil. I'm Sean. Thanks to Dara for everything today. Thanks, Andre, Fabian. Did Ramin, is she in here today? I didn't see her. She's here today. Thanks to Ramin for everything she's doing again. And we'll check you guys in just a couple minutes or a couple hours, 2 p.m. But right now, it's the big guys. It's the midday show. See you then.
See you guys.
It's over.
He's back.
Boom. Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the midday show. That right there is your boy Joey Options, and I'm Sharif. And where are my people at? Let's see where everybody's at, Joey. Let's shut them out. Darwin the trade. Not these ats again. What's happening here? I thought we were past this. You know what? All right, Chase Bands, the Sankofa. All right. Gorev, if I butcher your name, I can't read, okay? Johnny Fishbone, Mike, D. Ryder. We got Nomo, we got Moss back. How about Stavlaus? Oh, it sounds like a Greek name there. Madama 5039. We got Sunny Littletree, Mr. Easy Street. We got Tisha Perkins. Tisha got small caps to talk about here. There's a lot running. We got the Finabachi Trader, Peter, Bulge, something or another, South Jersey Shack. We got Darth Trader and Jay Haas. Shout out to Stock Scalping, Mark, CZ5VW, and Remy J82. Shout out to everybody, guys. Greeting from Istanbul, says Omar. Greetings right back at you, baby. Love that city. Beautiful city. 420 Bud Monster. I like that one. Hina Patel. Who else we got? We got JH Aziz. And then one more here, Michael J. Moss. Sorry, guys, for the kind of the labored readout there, but, you know, YouTube's back to being YouTube, and the names are all askew. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. Good morning, Joey. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks, man. Great to be back. Was missing everybody in the chat. I was thinking about what everybody was up to. Thank you for the birthday wishes and everything along those lines. But yeah, man, it was a great vacation. I was looking at the markets the past couple of days, and I'm like, ooh, a little bit of a choppy mess that we've seen on Monday and Tuesday there, Sharif.
Yeah.
So yeah, the VIX calls still hovering around, closed a lot of swing positions. Danny miss you guys too, man. Nature Boy Joe, exactly. That's what they used to call me, man. So glad to be back and with all of you guys. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Great vacation. Lots to talk about that. But let's get right into these markets. And see what we got cooking up here today. I only traded one name, that's going to be Ethereum. It took 2 attempts to get this one rolling. Did you just get that in your ear there, Sharif?
What? No.
Oh, I think maybe
disconnected?
Yeah, I think so. It said something along the lines.
Great.
But anyways, guys, right back into them. Oh yeah. So you know what? Okay, guys, my grandma found some pictures of me back in the day, like some hockey pictures. So I'm gonna get those from her with the dreadlocks. Yeah, because they were listening. So she found those, and we'll get to those to you guys later this week. For sure. I promise you guys they're now located, and I'll display them to you. But anyways, what we got going on here with that is, okay, so we were long Ethereum, boom, boom, boom. We get stopped out, but then we just double up the size that we had here initially, and this one's really starting to cook up a storm for us today. So Ethereum looking really good. I'm just trying to stick with strong assets, right? So there it is, first stop out. We get right back in it at the volume-weighted average price, and then we just hold this trade for a nice run to the top side. So the crypto space most definitely in play. And yeah, guys, once again, thanks for all the nice greetings and welcoming back. So happy to be back.
Oh man, we're so happy to have you back, bro. It was Ob was fantastic as always, as he always is.
For sure.
But you missed having you here, so very happy that you're back.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to get back in the gym too.
Oh, okay. No sessions up there?
Well, other than canoeing and kayaking, maybe if we'll call that a little bit of swimming and stuff like that, but no pump and iron. And I'm looking forward to getting back to that this evening.
I like it. It's time for the outdoor part. Let's start with my bad trade. So V-Wave, we get a couple of scalp. So this one was so good to me, I think Monday or whatever it was. We enter here, scalp for a nice like almost 40 penny winner. It does drop. So this was an entry at the 10 EMA. So I had another entry waiting at the volume weighted average price at 10 1/3. It fills me, but then all hell breaks to the downside and we are halted, and it will be looking like a 10-minute halt at the moment for V-Wave. Who remembers this one for Monday? It was a good one. But anyway, we're negatory on it. Now look, I got lucky here. I tried to use my flatten key to get out of the halt while it was in that halt parameter, and it didn't let me out. But the limit key did end up letting me out. So that is something to note for next time, at least for me. If I'm going to get caught in a halt and I want to get out, it was EdgeX limit key for anybody who's trading on at Real Trading. So that one is a loser. We'll start off with a bit of an L here on V-Wave. But Bovin, are you in the chat? I need to know immediately because you're trading here on my screen. BHVN. No, I'm not making this up. This is real. So we're long Bovin at the moment. Where are we long, man? I think we just got long 19s. We're out of the money a little bit over here. 13 pennies is what it's showing me on the ask. We're going to give it to prior area low. So this is the area low. So I will be looking at DCAing ahead of that. But if it does break this area here, that would be a lower high and a lower low. And then that's not what I'm looking for, obviously. So we'll see what Bovin has to offer us. But we've also got this one on. ATNF, entry here for a possible flat top break. It feels like there is a buyer here on ATNF at around the mid 60s. It keeps weaseling into that level only to kind of form hammer candles. So let's see what we get here on ATNF, looking for this one to at least attempt a high day, which is 395. Where are we in? We're at 73s. We just wet the beak there at 77. So nothing really to write home about at the moment. But there's other ones, guys. But shout out to my man in the chat, Big Smile Burdette, dropping cash, 49. Welcome back, Joey. Who won the battle of the inseam at the Karaoke Campfire Boys Club weekend? Oh,
lose, man.
That's a mouthful, bro.
I don't lose, brother. I don't lose.
It doesn't matter what you're doing.
You ain't losing. I ain't losing.
All right, I like it. So now that he's bullied everybody and he's got his, he's got it out of the way there.
Well, I don't know. With him, he could come up with anything. So I got to watch what I say.
Yeah. What do you got there, Joey?
Yeah, we're still sitting in this. So this pullback that we're experiencing here in the crypto space is pretty deep, and I mean in Ethereum, that is, right? So could this be a good reload opportunity? Maybe, possibly, but we want to see what the price action is telling us. As we start to decrease and depreciate in price, you can see with our volume profile, guys, starting to cool off a little bit. So we're stair-stepping down. Can this be sustained? A lot of selling pressure right here, but just keep in mind, as soon as we break the volume-weighted average price, that might be the end of it for this trade. Again, I did take the majority of my position off. I only have about 13% left to be exact. That's how I like using round numbers in my trade so I can give a better gauge. But there it is. I'm positioned relatively well, so hopefully that we do get this VWAP hold and we'll be able to continue within this. And maybe if this is a genuine hammer print right at VWAP, we can add a little bit of shares. But guys, let's see what Adair is up to.
Just keep an eye here on this market. We have comments coming from both Bank of Canada's Governor Tiff Macklem, and a couple minutes ago we had some comments coming from Scott Bessent as well. Scott Bessent saying that the Fed is basically misjudging or mischaracterizing the inflationary impact of tariffs. He's actually also calling for a bit of imagination, quote unquote, when it comes to policy response. It's also worth noting as well, Tiff Macklem making some very interesting comments. We'll have to see if we get a Truth Social post in response to this, because he actually said that Canada needs to think about its place in global trade to the point where Canada actually has opportunities to diversify from trade with the U.S. So Tiff Macklem suggesting that Canada does not necessarily have to trade with the U.S. Also on that BHVN ticker, I have to say, Sharif, the first thing I thought when I saw that was also Bovin. So go Bovin, and shout out to that trade. Back to the Bash Brothers.
Yeah, my man, I still haven't seen him in the chat, though. Shout out to Bovin. I don't know.
Bovin? Oh, your guy? Before I send it back to you, one thing here, Sharif. So Mo's back, 1, 2, 3. Again, thank you for the kind words. With that being said, we'll go over your desired ticker here. And it's not looking too bad in the morning, right? So you get it. There is obviously liquidity issues. You can see that you're gapping up intraday, which always isn't the best. But if you have the ability to withstand some of this, then by all means, right? Small cap stock here. breaks through VWAP, you get this big move through the volume weighted average price, you get that cool pullback, and then you continue to climb higher. So not too bad of a look from an intraday standpoint, but with that being said, we always have to see what we're up to on a daily. This hammer candle, big time move. I think that this gap will get filled considering we just experienced this, and you have this indecision print. I think that's going to be a good opportunity for you to get that potential gap fill there, my friend Mo's back. So yeah, good call out on that one there.
Shout out to Bovin. Look, XBP, I'm seeing that one, Bovin, but it lost the volume weighted average price, so a bit of a tougher one there on XBP. Let me just bring it in over here, because this is what we have on the side chart, guys. V-Wave and XBP will lose their position on the side chart here momentarily if they continue to trend in this direction. V-Wave is my loser on the day. This makes a beautiful trend. Like, look at that. Respect for the 10, respect for VWAP, and then all hell broke loose on this candle right now, and now we're trending down. So that's V-Wave. The one Bovin's looking at, XBP, this was another good one. Started really rocketing up there in the pre. It's up on the day about 80 some odd percent, 79.99. Off the highs, obviously, substantially off the highs, $1.62. High of the day is 256. I hope Bovin prints up multiple storms on this one. Keep me abreast, Bovin, of what you're doing with this one. I'll certainly be looking at XBP if it can get back above that $2 area or wherever VWAP is at the time. SUPX also could lose its spot on the side chart any moment now. High a day into 30. I was kind of hesitant to even put this on here because I don't want to trade a $29, $30 small cap gapper. It's not my move. And this one just lost $10 quicker than you can say Bovin. So yeah, that one obviously is going to lose its spot likely quite soon. So we'll see what this one gets, and we won't get upset. Yeah, make sure to hit that dang like and subscribe button. There you go. Look, I'm pointing. I'm doing everything that I can. All right? I'm just joking. All right, here we go. We're doing it freaking live, Joey, on your friend FUBO. FUBO, excuse me, not FUBO. FUBO, it's back in play, up 20.5%. I'm late to the party, but, you know, I'd rather be late than not show up at all. Waiting at 27's next, showing me 27 on the ask. Let's see what this one does. We're layering the orders here on FUBO. Let's keep an eye out on this one above VWAP. Also, Bovin, you're printing up a storm over here on BHVN. So we add into the volume weighted average price. Now we're showing 25s. I've layered my orders, so I'm waiting for the spread to tighten up a little bit here. 10 pennies on BHVN. Bovin, I'm gonna need you to take care of this, brother. You know, the spread is a little bit too wide over here. It's displeasing me.
Some size in there.
Assassino, you've been really good with the sound effects. Very on point with it lately. Shout out to Assassino, bro. He was doing it on the morning show as well. If you don't know who Assassino is, I'm talking to this random guy behind my monitors. That's who he is right there. Hey. Yeah. And then right next to him on the left is the Chilean Nightmare. Shout out to both of them. Excellent production team. The best around, baby. Not Ram though. So then we're going to keep an eye out on that. She didn't hear me, though.
No, she didn't. That's all right, though. That's good. Yeah, she's busy, man. She's locked in.
Busy, bro.
She's locked in. Speaking of Joey options, SPY 637 waterfall. Yeah, let's go, man. Like, come on, VIX. Pick up. I mean, I closed so many positions over the past couple of days, so I'm happy to go liquid. Still rolling on some Ethereum and some calls. And I have literally like 2% of my NVDA position left, and I don't even know why I'm really holding on to it. It's like it's nothing substantial, but it's so in the money that it's just fun holding on to that. So I mean, yeah, we'll go over that there momentarily. Can we hold the volume weighted average price here on Ethereum? I don't know. Only time will tell, right? But the really nice trade, you go long here. And then you just kind of just say, you know what, you only live once, and then boom, 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 you just take that to the top side. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad, but we'll look to make it even a little bit bigger next time because that was a really nice big move, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of this breakout here. So again, entries, adds. You stick to your stop, it gets a little bit tighter, you get stopped out. Well, guess what? Moments later, it comes right back to where you want it to. Boom, you start getting into this position, you add to the position, and then sure enough, you have the ability to just sit through. I was just cooling out, was trying like stress-free, just yeah, everything was looking good. Excuse me, and yeah, and that's what we got going on. But the SPY is really starting to take a nosedive here, along with Tesla, Sharif. So there it is. VIX most definitely going to be picking up with this. We're breaching some pre-market lows, very, very important. But with that being said, guys, let's take a look at some of the earnings report this evening. And I mentioned, like, this market has been on such a monstrous run. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a little bit more aggressive selling, because that's going to be the case. But we're going to go to the expected move. We're not going to go through all of them at once because that's no fun, right? We want to give you guys a little bit, we'll keep you guys waiting, et cetera, right? So we'll go over a fan favorite. What's your boy's favorite? It's Robinhood. Yeah, you got that one right. All right, so guys, I know Neil mentioned this earlier in the day. Oops, where did I click there? I know Neil mentioned this one earlier in the day. 9% expected move with a high of around 115.92 and a low of around 96.82. I'm really curious to see where subscriber growth is, how this gold plan is doing, and then how the activity across the platform is increasing. We know from a couple quarters ago it was like 700% increase in crypto activity year over year.
Okay.
The options activity was 100% year over year. Just amazing growth throughout the platform. And now with the Genius Act, I'm really curious to see where this is going to lead this name. But I think it's going to be positive for our friend Robinhood, Sharif.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. That's going to be a big one. Like Neil and I are going to focus, and Adara, we're going to focus more on Microsoft and Meta. But we definitely got to cover Hood because I mean retail. You know, I mean, obviously retail is the gung-ho, but Hood right now, and the stock price definitely reflects that as well.
Yeah, and obviously with the crypto bills.
No question about it.
So
and Joey, we got a major crypto release today from the White House. It's not really Bitcoin related. It's more about blockchain related. We'll get to that on the news.
Yeah,
but you're getting this push from the White House now, wanting to tokenize equities.
Oh yeah,
baby.
They want to do that. We know they got into a little trouble with that already, but
but this is the White House now.
Yeah, this is the White House. So then you're going 24 hours.
We're going 24. We're doing it live.
And I think for me, Meta, I don't know what you think about this. For Meta, one thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on is that CapEx. How much are they going to continue to spend? And are they going to increase it? Because I don't think the street will like the increase, but only time.
Well, he's been spending a lot of money.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, right? He's been spending a lot of money on some big names.
Get it, Derek.
Yeah, so we'll keep a lot of good stuff that we'll be keeping an eye on.
Yes, sir. All right, Bovin, I tried to tell you, Bovin. I was trying to tell you, Bovin, you got to punch into your namesake over here. We're doing it live right now on BHVN. Let's see if we can get through this 27 seller. We've got a bunch of scalps. We've got 11s on. It's showing me 27s. I'm layering the orders to take account of any, spike in the price action to the high side. This is a VWAP entry over here, so let's go ahead and post a little bit. We're below the 10 EMA, so I am concerned. Okay, as I've mentioned many times before, my observations lately with these small cap gappers is when they lose the 10 EMA on the 5 from the north to the south side, from top to bottom, they have trouble clearing it from south to north. We'll see if this one, BHVN, ends up being one of those. So I'm looking for price spikes up above 27 to wet the beak there on some profits. Let's give this one a little bit of room. Out is prior trough low, okay? Not prior bar low. I'm picking up on the higher lows here, at least my attempt is. So it's prior trough low is the out on BHVN. Let's go ahead and look at my friend FUBO over here. We still haven't cleared that 28 print. I'm packing my patience. There does seem to be some topping tails now into that $0.25. And if we reject at the $0.25, that is a lower high, and that is trouble. Okay, so I'm keeping my eye on that one as well. Look at REPL Go. REPL, REPL is breaking out into the $0.50. This piece of is up 100% again today. I don't know what the percentage was yesterday, but it was definitely on my list. We traded REPL. It's back again today. It doesn't respect VWAP. It doesn't respect the 10 EMA on the 5. So I am kind of hesitant to want to punch in here. I'm going to try to look for price action, support, and resistance because I don't think the indicators are jiving with this one. And the volume is picking up here on REPL, and you can see that through the tape teleportation. Left side of my screen, look how fast the tape is picking up, okay? So be on the lookout here, REPL making moves. We're also in ATNF. I fat-fingered. I thought this was a different trade that I held overnight accidentally. Didn't end up being. I'm a little tired, so I flattened out, got back in. A bit of a worse price there, but we're going to pack our patience, look for a flat top break in my estimation here through 375. Let's see if we get it. And if we don't, we won't get upset. Shout out to my man, Neil. All right, back to Bovin. That seller at 27 still blocking my ascent over here. The spread is about 3 pennies, 24 on the bid, 27 on the ask. It's clearly a hidden seller here at 27 because there's basically no size posted on any of the gateways, and I got them all. All right, so we're going to wait to see if we can shake that 27 seller or what the situation is, but we are below the 10 EMA on the 5. So if the algos are trading this and they're looking at possibly getting short at the 10 EMA, if they're using that, then they're probably keeping us from ascending right now. So that's what I'm looking at, Joey. We're involved in 3 names, but really the one that's making moves is the one that I'm not involved in right now, and it goes by the ticker REPL on the NQ.
REPL. All right, then. So, yeah, guys, we're still cooking up in the same name. I know someone was mentioning that, like, hey, I've been waiting all week for this Tesla short. Well, there you go. You're getting it. You break through some key pre-market lows, and then you just continue that move to the downside. And with that being said, if you've been planning a trade for such an extended period of time, you got to go as heavy as you possibly can. Get uncomfortable and just ride that trade. So hopefully you did that, because I think that would be a good opportunity, especially if you've been waiting, and then eventually when you get the setup that you want and you just take it mediocre size or like a C+ or a B+ trade size, then what fun is that? You did all that waiting. Right. No, you go A++++. You put as much as you possibly can, with obviously staying within risk measures. You don't want to risk 100% of your account, but on those trades you want to go 5 to 10%, in my opinion. But that's hefty, and just be prepared that things may not work out. But A+++, you definitely take that. But Tesla still doing bubkiss, as you would like to say here, Sharif, just trading within a range. And if we go across a lot of these tech stocks, we're going to see the similar type price action. I know Microsoft is somewhat of an outlier, but it's like, I'm really worried about this report, because it's obviously, as obvious it may sound, it could do a big time gap up and continue, fill the gap to the downside. But just with the previous trajectory that it was on, you break this trend line, watch out. I would suspect that you're probably going to retrace about 10 to 15% of it, maybe at least. But I could obviously be wrong and talking out the wazoo. But at the end of the day, this was a big time move since his previous report, and essentially hasn't looked back. I don't know why my buttons aren't working, but we'll get this thing working. That's all right. Yeah, we'll figure it out eventually. Embarrassing. Didn't really want to do me. I was just going to give you guys a percentage metric at the end of the day.
Assassino's kill this guy, bro.
Did he hit was that when he hit that one? Yeah, turn it up a little bit so I can hear. See, the thing is, we're swimming in lake water, so it's not like this ear is clogged, so it's hard. I can't hear too much. I was swimming when it's swimming, and you know what it is, man. You get into foreign bodies of water, and the next thing you know, you get a little clogged ear, but there's no water in there, just a little something. But yeah, this is what we got going on. I don't know if this is going to be a good ad opportunity for Ether, just considering the volume is really starting to cool off there and decay. And then sure enough, you can see that as the selling pressure steps in, volume is drastically stronger. So we'll be patient in order to wait for an ad, or we're just going to get stopped out break even, because I do only have 13% of the remaining position left. So yeah, ad opportunity or stopped out break even, either way is fine. I got to get that one. And then Robinhood starting to climb higher into earnings report. What a monster run this name has been on, and cooled off a little bit, but not as much as Coin. Coin was selling pretty aggressively off of the identical signal, right? So this is what we were referring to earlier, just the monster run from the April lows. You get that indecision print at an extreme high, and then you sell off. But Hood, that's why it just gives me suspicion that this thing is going to come out with fantastic numbers. Everything is going to be just fine, Sharif. Yes, and then you take another leg higher, but starting to recover very nicely.
Joey, I'm going to put you on the spot. We saw SoFi raise $1.5 billion yesterday for general corporate purposes. Joe coming. But does Robinhood, especially if they have a blowout report like SoFi did, and I don't know, you weren't here obviously, but Joey, the blowout, it was insane.
Yeah,
that report was insane.
I looked at the numbers.
We're talking like 80, 90% year-over-year increases in different segments. Anyway,
great numbers.
Does Robinhood have an offering?
No, I don't
too
think
big,
so.
right?
Yeah, too big. I don't think they need to. Yeah,
right,
I think they got too much cash. I don't think they need to. Yeah, I don't think they need to. For what? What are they going to buy?
I don't know.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know. For Coin on the balance sheet, but what's SoFi going to
just in case, right?
Just in case there's a thing, right?
I told you those are for yacht parties, man. Purposes.
I love it. It's so good. It's so good. No, because remember what Alex Karp? Everyone kept shorting Palantir, and he was losing his stuff, and he went on CNBC. He's like, "They're doing blow on boats with my show, shorting my company."
Is that what he said?
Yes,
that's
of course.
crazy.
Do you expect any less from this guy? He's fantastic, right?
I think Vlad is a guy, especially he's got that new haircut now. Watch out.
Yeah, he's all corporate now. What's going on over there? I don't know if I can trust him anymore,
corporate
man.
Vlad, CV.
Shout out to Tisha. Tisha's looking at REPL, and I'm not surprised at all about that, Tisha, because this is the best one in the market right now. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's up 100%. The only reason I haven't been punching in very exuberantly here, Tisha, is because I feel like I don't got a read on this. Let's do a little TA. Obviously, you know, you clearly have a read on it. I just don't feel confident. I got to tell you the truth. So we got the ticker up from yesterday. That's because we were trading it yesterday. So from yesterday's pre-market till this morning, we're up 150%. So not the biggest move, but very respectable. 4 a.m. that is, all hell breaks loose. We ended up opening up at 4:31, and by the time the third 5-minute candle is done after the 4 a.m. open, we're up to 6 1/3. Since that time, we've been basically putting in higher lows and higher highs with one intervening event over here to the low side. This is why I haven't been punching in, Tisha. It didn't respect VWAP here, at least initially at around 950, 940, 930 actually. That's the implied balance low. Since that time, it's been putting in higher lows, higher highs. I just don't see a very clear level off which it's finding support, off which it's rejecting. So I feel like I don't have a good read on REPL. Maybe if I pull up the 5-second chart and get a better gauge of the micro pullbacks and the micro trend, maybe I'll feel a little bit differently. But for the moment, I'm just going to steer clear, okay? So I'm going to keep my eye out on it. Now, we're doing it freaking live up here, up on ATNF. We're doing it well. Doing it well. Shout out to LL Cool J. Yeah. We're gonna wet the beak here at 80s. I've layered the orders all the way up above 85. The best print I have so far on this bad boy, 83. I'm talking about ATNF, but it's got a 95 high, right? So I'm basically anticipating maybe a double top, if not a clearing of $4. So I've tried not to take out too much too quickly. Here's 84s now showing up on ATNF. Let's see if we can squeeze above 85. I'm waiting at 86. So there is a seller here at 84. We can't shake them. Let's pack our patience. How's FUBO doing? Okay, well, we're taking some prints. Not the biggest move, though. FUBO definitely finding some resistance here. A little bit higher than the $0.25, but lower than the third. I want to say in the high 20s. So that is interesting. Alas, it's still above the 10 EMA, and for the most part, not strictly, we are still putting in higher lows on FUBO, basically after that rounded bottom that manifested there. So I'm going to keep my eye out on this one. Now, full disclosure, I flattened out on a positive trade, mind you, on BHVN for the exact reason why I said it is using the 10 EMA from the south side this time as resistance. And that's something I've been noticing a lot more lately. So I'm really happy with my out because it continues to sell off. And now, Biohaven, you are all of a sudden a flat bottom break candidate. Here we go. We got area high. We got lower high, and now we got lower high. All the while, we're still holding 15-ish as that support level. That makes you a flat bottom break candidate. So be on the lookout for the loss of that level on Biohaven. But I want to bring to your attention one quick one over here before we send it back to Joey Options. GENI, so Genie. Look, not a big percentage winner on the day, about 15.5. But who can argue with this buy program over here? Now, the problem with buy programs as opposed to, intraday algorithms and traders trading these small cap cappers is once the algo gets shut off, unless somebody else is going to start coming in and trading it possibly as an arbitrage to the high side, it's going to sell off. And, there's no way to know when they're going to turn off the algorithm or the buy program, but oftentimes it's around that midday. So watch out for Genie here, especially if it loses the 10 EMA. Now, it hasn't lost the 10 EMA all day. So if it loses the 10 EMA, that should be one of your warning signals. At least that's been my observation with these ones as of late, Joey.
Good look there. All right, guys. Yeah, so someone's saying that they're seeing a higher bid. Let's take a look. On the options chain SPY. We'll pull that up to see if we see anything, but just make sure you're a little bit more specific because there's so much going on with options, right? We need strike price, we need expiration cycle, and what it may be. So 43.71. I'm not seeing anything here. 225. I see a flat one at that 634 strike price. 377. It's pretty tight. Like, again, I need strike price, I need expiration cycle, et cetera, et cetera. What the hell is going on with Meta? Okay, let's take a look at it. There we go. What is going on with Meta? I mean, we're reporting this evening, guys. So keep an eye out on this one. Zuck and company. I don't think anything substantial is going on, right? Like it's selling rightfully so. I just think this market was just been on such a monster tear since April. Things are going to cool off. You're heading right towards some key support levels. Does the street like the CapEx, right? And no, Christian Arntz, again, it never was, but my friend. But yeah, so key support level can break through or it can continue to climb. But you also notice this big time double top that you're experiencing on Meta as well. So just keep an eye out on that one. And same with the likes of Microsoft. I think things are starting to cool down in this market. Like, you can't really say too much. 48% off of those lows with Microsoft. That's a big time return. Like, in my opinion, we'll go over to the Qs, and the Qs were up like 60 or something percent, which is crazy. Crazy stuff, right? 41% to be exact, where we're currently trading at. So yeah, I mean, things got to cool off eventually. It'd be nice to stay on this type of trajectory, but if you just go back in the history, it's usually not very likely. And then you can see that we go from this move in October of 23 to about April of 24. You sell off a little bit. You do get that additional lag, but then from the peak to the trough, you pull back 15%, right? Did we get that correction earlier with obviously with the tariff turmoil, 25%, whatever it may be? Yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, this isn't sustainable. You got to pull back. You want a nice healthy breath, 5, 10%, 12.5%, whatever it may be, and then you want to find the continuation. But guys, that 12%, that 10% pullback, you slowly start allocating positions into some of these big names that have a bleep ton of cash flow. I think you're going to be sitting in a pretty good position. That's what your boy did. Adair, what do you got for us?
What I have is crypto. I do have two specific crypto-related catalysts I'm going to go over. Sometimes on this segment we talk about meme coins or their coins. Right now I actually want to talk about a couple different fundamental catalysts. Here is IBIT. We had these crypto stocks on watch this morning because, as we discussed a little bit with Sharif and Brendan on the main desk this morning in the news desk, we were waiting for the release of the Digital Asset Working Group's crypto report from the White House. They were basically urging regulators to provide regulatory clarity for crypto trading and promote easy adoption. Now, the one thing they did not include, according to Bloomberg's report, which is what we were really expecting, was a proposition for the creation of the strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is really what Trump supporters, especially in the crypto space, have been waiting for. So it's unclear when or if we'll get that, but it's certainly not with this most recent report, which is what we were waiting for. So maybe a little bit of a negative catalyst, though. IBIT ground nicely off the open right now, though, giving back some of this move in the last half an hour or so. Then we also had Coinbase with its own catalyst. This one has been pretty choppy throughout the day. JP Morgan involved in this catalyst as well, notably because JP Morgan, especially its CEO Jamie Dimon, are, to put it lightly, not known for being necessarily pro-crypto in the past, but they're trying to make a change in that direction as Coinbase and JP Morgan actually announced a partnership that will make crypto purchases more accessible to bank customers. They're going to be basically introducing new features for mutual customers, which include a direct bank-to-wallet connection, allowing Chase customers to link their accounts to Coinbase wallets. So interesting stuff here. COIN and JP Morgan, maybe not a partnership we'd expect, but certainly one that the market, at least initially, likes, specifically pre-market guys. So lots of crypto-related catalysts. Keep an eye on all these various crypto stocks. We had Mara earnings as well. That was a double beat for MARA. And tomorrow we'll get both MSTR and COIN earnings. So check that out there. Shout out to Brian Armstrong, the shiny one as Sharif calls him, and our good friend Michael Saylor. Back to you.
All right, so this is really interesting today. As you and I were talking about before, tokenization is now being talked about. So here's the deal, Joey. Here's what's happening right now. So there's a new White House report coming out on the tokenization of crypto and the regulation. So the report's going to be kind of like, it follows the executive order that Trump signed back in January, and it's kind of expected to guide the U.S. crypto regulation moving forward. Bessent was involved in this, as well as the SEC chair Paul Atkins, even OMB director Russell Vought. So the report is expected to kind of support the SEC creating a formal framework for tokenizing financial assets. We're talking about stocks, we're talking about bonds, even real estate, as well as funds. The Coinbase actually kind of requested this. They requested to be able to offer blockchain equities, signaling obviously growing institutional interest in that. So this move could be one way, Joey, of putting on-chain trading as well as traditional assets, streamlining kind of settlement, so we don't have to do that T+3 or T-3, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And Sharif, I think there was a part in the span of crypto and how we're starting to adopt it. It was kind of stagnant, not too much going on, more speculation. But now, as we're getting more regulatory framework, I think we're really starting to excel in the direction for pro-crypto individuals. And I think that the way that we're seeing the Genius Act and the Clarity Act as well too, I think it's going to look really, really positive. And I am excited to see if we do get that 24-hour trading, especially with the tokenization of some of these.
Can you imagine tokenizing real estate? No more schlepping into the lawyer's office, dropping 15 hundos just so that you can transfer your house. Right? Like they're still gonna have to do D checks and stuff. Who knows? Maybe it even gets better than that, that everything is on the blockchain, so you don't have to go to the land registry here, the land title over here. Like literally, I can sell you my house just by sending it to you on the blockchain. I think that's, I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody, obviously, but
I think that's, well, yeah, I mean, these smart contracts are phenomenal. We talked about even big corporations using them in the likes of Walmart. They use them. You can find their supply chain. You can literally track an Apple from where it started and to how it got to the floor on the retail space. And then you also have companies like Microsoft and the likes of Xbox. There's so many components to creating these video games that they have now constructed smart contracts to pay each individual their royalties in respect of each game and what they've constructed on it. So yeah, I think it's really interesting stuff to see.
I agree 100% on that. Big Spile saying, he just messaged me, he's like, won't tokenization take money from equities? No, it is going to be the equity. But instead of trading or buying that equity, Big Spile, on a brokerage account using whatever, you're using over there, I don't know what brokerage you have, you're just going to be able to do it on the blockchain. So you're just going to be able to buy, I don't know, 100 shares of Apple or whatever it's going to be in whatever form on the blockchain. You'll be able to sell it on the blockchain. Ownership and custody will be provable on the blockchain. So I don't think it necessarily hurts any of these companies. They still have their equity flowing in just through a different vehicle. That's kind of what I think.
Absolutely. And one thing that we also never really touched on is that the settlement, the duration now, is going to be essentially non-existent, right? Because I'm pretty sure how it is with equities, you buy a stock, you technically don't own it for 3 business days. I'm pretty sure that's roughly around there. Now, it's instant. As soon as that is transferred over, you are the owner of it now. So there's no more settlement days, which I think is going to be really interesting.
We're going to Adair.
Yesterday, in case you guys missed it, we had a massive move down in Novo Nordisk because they cut their guidance, but they also announced the appointment of a new CEO, Magyar Mike Dustar. We actually had the previous CEO, Lars Fruergaard Jorgensen, announcing that he was going to leave about 2 months ago. So there was a bit of an overlap period. But this reminded me, last year, in case you guys missed it, I actually did an infographic looking at some of the biggest CEO transitions in 2024 and the percent changes in those stocks from when the CEO transition was announced. So not when the new CEO came in, because sometimes there's a little bit of a pause, but when we had the announcement that the outgoing CEO was leaving. So with that in mind, here are 4 of the biggest CEO transitions we've had so far this year. Bumble, we had Whitney Wolfe Herd returning to her position here. Lydia Ann Jones out. That came out in January of this year. Then, of course, May, one of the most notable ones, Warren Buffett leaving Berkshire Hathaway as of the start of next year. Greg Abel will be taking his place. It looks like the market isn't quite able to cope with this news because BRKB has been struggling since that came out. Then on May 13th, we had the announcement that Sir Andrew Whitty is going to be usurped by Stephen Hemsley, former CEO of UNH at United Health. So interesting look there. Of course, Novo Nordisk, the most recent of these moves. If you want to see this thread, which also includes my previous infographic to this effect, just go and exit TTV Research. You can check all of that out. We are posting fun market-related content for you guys every single day. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adair. I appreciate that. Make sure to keep those the eye on our on Trader TV Research account on X, because there's always great information on there. Thank you, Adair. Joey, what do you got?
Yeah. What a pain this is here, though, guys. I mean, it was only about 13% of our position, but there you go. It comes right back into my break even, and I was just that last liquidity grab, which is crazy, and then you start to slowly climb higher. So really, that was an add opportunity, and then you continue to climb, and that's looking pretty good there. SoFi, just doing SoFi things. I mean, after that offering, That is brutal. I mean, if you were long off of that report and you're like, all right, yeah, we're gonna continue. Now, no, see you later. We're gonna offer some shares here, and then sure enough, you are starting to somewhat recover. So that's not horrible, right? But yeah, this is not what you want to see, that rug pull type price action, especially after a solid earnings report, as Sharif was mentioning not too long ago. So yeah, maybe we get back into Ethereum, works once, maybe we'll look to get involved in it once again, or we'll find something that's reporting this evening, right? I'm not going to be trading Microsoft or Meta, but we'll take a look at Hood because we like this name and it was strong, and I think we have the ability to continue in strength, considering that we are holding the volume weighted average price pretty well, guys. So a nice hammer candle right there. If we get one more retest and it holds, I'm long this name, that's for sure. I'm not going to be questioning that. Daily, we went over this already. It's like 260% from the high, 286% from those liberation lows to those highs there, and then starting to slowly climb back there. I didn't sell any in the long-term account, to be honest with you, and I don't plan on for the foreseeable future, not for some time anyways. And then also I talked about just my swing positions as well too, guys. I'll pull that up momentarily, but I am out of the majority of things, only sitting in some VIX calls, IBIT calls, and some Ether and NVDA shares, but I literally have a handful of NVDA shares, average being 107. Ethereum, I have a couple hundred of those, added some of that to that position yesterday as well too. But it's starting to climb here, Sharif. We got stopped out. This was a pure liquidity grab, and now starting to move right back into this neck of the woods. So we'll keep an eye out on this one. Bitcoin doing half decently. Let's continue to climb on that. Again, we went into this, considering we were talking about crypto, we kind of went back into that consolidation as it's been typically doing. But do we just continuously try to grab the lower end of the range, expecting it to make an additional leg higher? That's been the narrative for the past while, right? So you can see move higher, consolidation, boom, you take another leg higher, you go right back into consolidation, you take a move higher. Yeah, you pull back a little bit, you consolidate, you hold some key levels relatively well, just a whipsaw move right here, and then you take another leg higher. But now we've been back into this consolidation since the middle of July. Where do we go? I'm going to guess another move higher. Get involved in the name a little bit more. If not, if it does come back into these support ranges, that's why you slowly allocate. You don't go all in at once, 25% here, 10% there, et cetera. And then eventually you build in with the full position that you want. Next thing you know, you wake up, Bitcoin's at 125,000, you're positioned really well, and Ethereum hits over 4,000. Then we're laughing. We're having a good time. Adair, what do you got for us?
Just want to let you guys know here, UPS is certainly to the downside today, from ups to downs, you might say. Here are two of the 7 price target decreases that I saw for this name today. This is a day 2 earnings play. Yeah, I just wanted to mention this one because it's breaking down pretty viciously. UPS going from about $98 on earnings day 1. I think that was like probably the reaction high there. Yeah, around $99. Right now we're trading near 88. So massive drop here for UPS. Certainly delivering some wins, but only if you're short. Back to you.
Yeah, XL chart. Yeah, I'm just in some VIX calls. Thanks, John Van Soyers. Much appreciated as always. But I honestly wouldn't suggest getting involved in them right now. I mean, I'm down to like $100. That's nothing on them. I was down a little bit more, closer to 2. But the volatility is not stepping in, and you want it to step in relatively quick, right? So my average price on those contracts is $6.81. Is it? Yeah. So we'll pull up the VIX. I hate it when I do that. I got to go straight to the index. I know a lot of people trade UVXY, but there it is. So you can see this base. So we're not positioned horribly, but we need something negative to come into the market. And with that being said, the chances of all your other long positions are going to depreciate. This is more of an experimental type move in these VIX calls, considering I felt like the market has been on such a nonchalant run and nothing's been bothering it. But again, I'm not going to allow these to expire worthless. January 20th is the cycle. Can we get something in that? But in the meantime, I got to be weary of what's going on just in case I lose all that to theta. I don't necessarily want to. I don't want to be like, hey, something bad happened to the market. Hey, something bad happened to the market. No. Let something bad happen and then look to get involved. And then you can kind of gauge how severe that catalyst may be. And if it's going to be worthwhile and long-standing, then you'll be able to get involved in some VIX. But other than that, I wouldn't hop in VIX like I just did, expecting for something bad to happen.
All right, man. Here's the deal. REPL. Okay, so this I was doing a whole thing here with REPL, so I have a lot to say about it. Now, we got in at 706 and we scalped up into the best was 735. And the reason I say the best was 735, because there was a very, very motivated and staunchy seller basically from 30 to 35, and we couldn't shake them. And look what's happening now. We're losing 7. We're putting in lower lows, lower highs. This one feels like it's headed to VWAP, possibly around 6.5. Okay, so as I was taking it out here, there was an insane seller. Let me show it to you on the 5-second if I can. Hopefully it will, there it is. Okay, there it's not. Let's load this up. So this is the 5-second on REPL. So this is where we got in, around right over here. Scalped up all the way up. Now look at, it's hard to see, but there was a huge seller at 33, and then there was a real aggressive seller at 35. Kind of a double top. Obviously, this is the 5 seconds, so view it as such. And then all the way back down. Now, this is lower low, lower low, lower low, and another lower low, all the while being followed with lower highs. So the trend right now on your friend REPL, very, very clearly on the way down. At last, it's still above the 20. It's still above the volume weighted average price, but this is kind of why I took everything off the table there, because of what was happening here. And then once we rejected that 35 selling, it then became even more aggression on that short seller's part, because they started posting at lower levels every time. So the ascent was being basically kiboshed at lower and lower prices. If it was being stopped at 35, it was getting stopped at 33, then it was getting stopped at 30, and that only means unless a buyer with even more will is about to take out all the levels that short seller is posting on, then we're likely going to take a bit of a flush, as people will see what I'm seeing, will take profits, or shorts will also see what I'm seeing and will pile into the down move. So I'm out of REPL on that. If it wants to set up a little bit better, we'll get involved. We're profitable on it, but it's not the best trade ever, because obviously it didn't have the follow through. Now, let's also talk about ATNF. Positive on this one as well. Looking to take out some levels over here. Now, I got lucky. I don't want to say lucky. I got fortunate for this fill. Now, this fill over here, waiting at my entry 63, was a result of the prior area price action resistance. If we rejected this 60 to 65 penny area on the move up, then it just might be the case that we use that exact same area as support on the way down. But alas, we are coming back down into my entry. This is not what I'm in ATNF for, so we're going to flatten out break even on, well, actually not even break even, a couple of penny winner there on the remaining amount. So you're getting some moves down here on some of these small cap gappers. I'm seeing that REPL is still holding 7, so if it can change its tune and start putting in some higher lows and higher highs, I'll get back involved. But ATNF feels like it might be destined to work back into the volume weighted average price. If that's the case, I got no problem with getting out for a 2 penny winner on the last remaining amount and then waiting for it at the appropriate area, that appropriate area being the volume weighted average price. Right before we go to Adara, I just want to mention my FUBO trade as well. We got the 33 print there, but since we got said 33 print, it now looks like it might be forming into a double top. We have 3 candles on the red, but I do want to mention, before you start thinking this is a double top, have a look at what this one did on the last little area trough. It breached the 10 and found support in between the 10 EMA and the 20 EMA, as we've been talking about. Sometimes that is the money fill. So I'll be looking for that to happen here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to risk 3 pennies and I'm going to put my stop below the 20 EMA. That way, if the money fills are in fact between the 10 and the 20, I don't get stopped out and I get the opportunity to add Adara.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, keep an eye on Boeing, because we do have European aerospace and defense play Airbus. They just reported their earnings. The revenue here of 29.61 billion euros, earnings of €1.93 per share. So yeah, I'm not really seeing any kind of comparisons to estimates either way, though. Just keep an eye on BA Airbus coming through with earnings right now, I guess, in the European aftermarket. Back to the Bash Brothers.
Thank you, Adara. Joey, what do you got?
Yeah, same thing, guys. There's a lot of things that I kind of want to cover right now, and that's just going to lead into this earnings, because I think it's really important, especially because it's my favorite season, right? And there's a lot to touch on throughout from expected move, what the at-the-money IV is, right? I'm just talking from an options perspective. Again, we'll get more into the fundamentals of things with Sharif, Adara, and Neil, but at the end of the day, we got to cover some things where we're looking at expected move. Why are you buying these contracts? Because I think a lot of you are traders. Hey, can we get a poll out? Can we get a poll out, Assassino or Fabian? Do you trade options, yes or no? That's simple. That's all we're asking for. We already got 1,500 votes on this one. Yeah, what do we got on? I know, I seen the current poll there. I see. Yeah, let's finish that one, guys. Make sure you get that. We got 1,500 votes on that one. Wow. Yeah, okay, well, yeah, let's pull it up here. Show it, he says. All right, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. All right, so 10 years from now, cryptocurrencies will be the standard for global finance, a major but niche asset class, a historical footnote, tulip mania. Okay, we all know about that. I still don't understand the blockchain. Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, blockchain is just code, contracts and code, essentially. I had to look up what it was, but actually specifically, I wanted to see a piece of the blockchain the other day, so I just pulled it up. And I just wanted to see what it was.
That's nice.
Have you done that yet?
I've never done that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's just literally, it's just cool. Yeah, just watch it live.
Hold on, what?
Baby, and yeah, do it live.
Okay, well, no. So I can watch a live video as Chilean Nightmare.
Yeah, so like
gotcha.
So could you go, so Fabian, could you go to like the Bitcoin blockchain, obviously the Ethereum? Yeah, that is insane. You could just see the transactions as it goes. No way.
That's crazy.
That's wicked.
That's actually really cool.
All right.
It's like a ledger. It's constantly being generated, says Fabian. Fabian, can they hear you when you're talking? Yeah, when you talk in your ears, especially with stuff like that, Fabian, I think it would really help if the audience was able to hear as well. Because that's good information.
Okay, so we swayed from the options talk real quick there with the blockchain, but that's okay.
You're in both, aren't you?
So it doesn't matter. No, but Fabian, we got this poll up there. I don't know where Assassino is, but yeah, if we can get that, do you trade options or not? Yeah, perfect. Much appreciated. Simplistic stuff there, guys. But yeah, we're just talking about that. We've went over Hood, but there's one thing that I want to touch on before we move on to the following name, and we'll either go over Microsoft or Meta. It doesn't really matter which one, but just keep an eye out on this here, Sharif. I was messing around with eSignal as well too. So after we're done here, I'm gonna really hone in and get that set up for everybody because there's some pretty cool tools in there. But let's pull up Hood here as I ramble on. Perfect, thank you. Do you trade options? Ramble on. We like that song. So just yes or no. I'm gonna vote yes there, Sharif. You've officially bought some, so you gotta go. You gotta go yes there now.
I did. I clicked it.
Dang. All right, good stuff.
Lie.
All right, guys. So here it is. And I mean, this is how smart, obviously, the market is, right? We haven't even reported. Things have been cool. The stock has been steady, appreciating. We've had a couple down days, but look at Pug Life. Havana, Los Pollos, all my options traders out there. I know I'm forgetting a key one there. I wish I remember it. But 154% at the money IV. That is very, very expensive. Okay, so you got to keep an eye out on those things. And then when we talk about volatility decay, you can run into some bad times if you don't pay attention and you don't exceed that expected moves. All right, Brown Lightning as well too. Been trading options, so good stuff. Now we're gonna move on to Microsoft. We're looking at about a 3.7% expected move. All right, that's going to put us at a high of around 531 and a low of around 493. Well, what is I can already tell you, because the expected move is cool enough, it's not going to be 154%. Is it going to be increased? Absolutely. Hopefully I don't eat these words too quickly. 62%. All right, so
I hate when that.
Yeah, I know. So I was right. I said it wasn't going to be as high, right? The higher the expected move, the more the options market's going to price in and say, hey, this contract is more, because it can deviate from the current price a lot more than what.
This is fantastic stuff right there.
This one here? Yeah. This is a fantastic tool, right? So it'll tell you 3.7%, it'll tell you the high, the low, potentially, and what the at-the-money IV is. It's relatively close, 46.8%, and what I'm seeing on my platform is around 62%. A little bit of a deviation, but nothing crazy whatsoever, all right? So just keep that in mind, and this is when you're gonna be buying those contracts. Things will cool off after, and you're gonna lose money solely to a volatility decay. Now, moving on to the next big name that we want to take a look at, Meta. The larger the expected move, the more the at-the-money IB. All right, so 5.7% with a high of around 740 and a low of around 661. Let's pull up and see what our at-the-money IV is and how much we're going to be paying for this specific contract, all right? So 100%. It was literally in between the Robinhood being at 9%, Microsoft being at 3.7%, and then now we have about a 5.7% expected move. So it's literally ranging in between those at 100%. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We can get a high of around 741 and a low of 661. Well, what happens if you don't exceed that expected move? Well, congratulations, you just bought something that is too expensive, and then now it's most likely not going to gain value over the coming days. Because why? Day after day after the earnings report, volatility starts to decay and you start to get right back into the median of things, all right? So that's just essentially what we got going on. And it's really important to gauge these, especially if you're trading options. If you're in equities, who cares? You exceed that, yeah, let's go, you're partying, you're having fun. And even if it doesn't, well, guess what? You're still holding on to these shares with the potential of the stock moving higher and higher. But with options, if you don't exceed that relatively quick, you might find yourself in some trouble. And that's when you need to learn how to hedge those positions as well, Sharif.
All right, man. LiDAR is back onto the scene. I've got some stuff to say about the other ones. We'll get to that in a second. But now LiDAR is coming back into VWAP. Okay, it's a 407 high. VWAP is exactly at 370, at least on my chart. The bottom of this 5-minute candle is 76, with buyers now pushing this up above.
Sorry, open? Yeah. Open is you for sure. Yeah, take a look at OP.
Yeah. Well, someone just told me about it, but I was like, I don't like it. Okay, finally, took out 215. Whoever I was telling there in the chat, it had to take out 215 and took it out. Okay, good. So let's load up open here. We're going to take out Bovin. Sorry, Bovin, you lost your spot. You broke down. I got your email. What is this? Okay, I just have to look at this in a second. Sorry.
You want me to take it over?
No, you're good. I just want to look at OPEN over here. Let's see what the situation is. Yeah, it's a good breakout here. 7.5%. This is interesting, but keep in mind, Open is coming. Oh, sorry. Let me just flip to the 15 here on Open. We are coming from highs, guys, up to almost $5. So keep that in mind. You're likely going to encounter resistance at multiple areas. I'm seeing 282. I'm seeing 290. I'm obviously 3. Then above that, you're looking at 4. I'm just looking at the price action on the 15. So keep your eye on that for Open, but it's definitely earned its way onto the side chart for me. It replaces XBP. We'll see if this one can keep going here. Good look for OPEN. We're going to leave it right there. But what I'm looking at now is LiDAR with a double bottom here into the low 70s. This is my opportunity to get in, and then I can add into this position if it's warranted. If it loses 75s, I'm out. It's that simple, okay? We're going to give it super tight entry there on LIDR. Excuse me, I just got that one wrong. We'll just enter it again. So we're going to take it out at the loss of 375. So we'll give that all the way down here. There we go. Good. Where are we in? All right, good. So let's post. Let's start posting here at these levels to see if we can wet the beak at on LiDAR on any pop-up. We are a lower high currently, so let's not get too exuberant about the hold up here. So LIDR in focus, but so is Open. Now, I want to mention FUBO because I still have that one on. This one is still dropping into the lows, so if anything into my entry, I'm gone on this one, but I want to see if it loses 20. I've moved up my stop from prior trough low into the loss of the 20 exponential. As I mentioned, I see this one having money fills in between the 10 and the 20. If that's going to be the case, then why would I hold it below the 20? And then ATNF, I want to mention why I got out of this one, because it lost VWAP. It's really that simple. So once we kept rejecting this area over here on ATNF, I said to myself, look, VWAP is at $3.60. If it loses VWAP, it's also a prior area of support, formerly resistance, then this isn't a trade for you. And I'm happy that I flattened out. In fact, I flattened out at 65. It's now at 52. So happy with that exit. We'll keep an eye out on that one if it wants to set up again. But here's LIDR now. We just wet the beak there at 85s, layering into 88s, looking for a possible double bottom ahead of VWAP and an attempt back at 4 here on LIDR. Now, you'll recall LIDR was a big mover not that long ago, I believe late last week. And so we are coming from high. So this one's suffering from the same affliction that Open is suffering from, which is likely bag holders from higher levels. Let's see if that's the case. Let's see if it gives us anything, how much it gives us. So We're going to keep an eye on open and an eye on LIDR for some good entries here, Joey. Let's keep an eye out on these.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Havana, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, we're obviously running into some liquidity issues on this name. I mean, the past couple of sessions wasn't too horrible as things started to pick up, but today, most definitely. I know you said you're involved in this name from like 28 cents or something along those lines, if I remember correctly. But you're positioned relatively well. But yeah, there's some big time, obviously, liquidity issues here. I wouldn't say it's an issue, but it's just not a liquid stock. IPO here, okay, on November 22, it has lost the majority of its value, which is unfortunate, but look at the volume really start to kick in, Havana. I think that's something positive that we can take out of this for sure, is that that's starting to kind of, well, not kind of, it is really starting to pick up. So heavy R-vol here, and then you have that base around 33%. I wouldn't be surprised if this name continued to climb higher. So yeah, really good shout out on that one. I like that there. So yeah, CASK, Heritage Distillings Holdings. Very interesting. Now, let's move on to this next perpetrator. That is going to be Carvana. Who are you? I can't believe this name. We'll go over some of this later, but first we'll talk about this name because I remember when I first started trading, it was like a $13 stock, $15 stock, and now it's trading all the way up to $334. What a story! But guys, we're off to Adair and then Neil with his lesson of the day.
SPY trying to bounce back off of lows here. And to be clear, we did make a higher low from yesterday's low of day. We're at our third straight green candle to the upside for the S&P 500. How's the Nasdaq looking? Pretty similar, exact same look. Nasdaq actually a little bit closer maybe to this high of day of 569.50. Right now trading around 569.20. Let's see how that resolves. One thing that's certainly going to be in watch is that FOMC meeting coming through. We get the results at 2 p.m. Then we get the FOMC or Fed Chair press conference at 2:30 p.m. And Donald Trump has already tried to apply a little bit of pressure here to Fed Chair Jerome Powell. He posted this at 8:38, so 8 minutes after we got better than expected GDP. 2Q, GDP just out, 3%, way better than expected. Too late, must now lower the rate. No inflation. Let people buy and refinance their homes. We'll have to see if things go how Trump wants it to, but as we've mentioned a couple times now, there is a chance we could get 2 dissenting votes that disagree with the Fed's very likely decision to hold rates as they are. So many earnings on watch today. Visa, nice little rounded bottom recovery for this one. SBUX did a complete opposite move. This was initially really strong gapping up, sold off at the open, right now trying to bounce really nicely off of these lows. So tons of interesting earnings plays today. Speaking of which, Meta actually on the docket to report tonight after the bell. Keep an eye on META, MSFT, Robinhood, HOOD, Carvana. We have Ford. You can check those out with Sharif, myself, and Neil at the Market Recap Show. Make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll send you over to Neil and his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Going to be a fun earnings bonanza tonight and tomorrow as well because we get more earnings then, and there'll be, look, it's the big ones coming through. But there's something during earnings season that we talk about all the time. It's the day 2 play. Sometimes it's not super complicated. You know, you're long the chips today because they worked the day before. You're short UNH today because it worked the day before. You're short something like Novo because it worked the day before. But it's how you get into it that makes some sense. If you're looking for a continuation, there's a couple of ways to play it. Either you can find a stock that was down heavily. In the particular case of UNH, the trend is your friend. Before going into earnings, this was already a short and breaking down. But after our earnings day, we did have some levels come into play. We talk about the open range a lot, or supply zones at the open. But forget about this for a second at 265, this 265 area, and look at what happened at the close. Right there, near the end of the day, it tried to bounce at 265, and then in a volume event at 330, lost the bid, and then you found a little bit of a spike, rejected again under 265 and flushed. So if you're looking for continuation, the first place, when it's right here at 64, this little mini wall here at 65 that it flipped back and forth, is there a sell there? Twice. At the open, and even when it bounced. It just gives you And look, obviously, if you're a long bias, you could say to yourself, if you're long bias, I'll go long if it breaks 65. That's fair too. I'll give you an example for that. But UNH twice off an easy pivot level where you can look for the continuation short. You have a bias to the downside, you go short. Novo was a different story that I think, I use this term with Intel a lot. If the stock is trending down and it's showing you rejection off the volume weighted average price, then your job is simple. It's short under, breakout over. All of yesterday, Novo just seemed like it wasn't moving, but it was doing something. Every time it would have recovered to the volume weighted average price, it would have rejected. It did it in the pre-market, it did it in the it did it in the open, it did it in the afternoon, it did it at the close. What do you think it did today? It just held right under the volume weighted average price. If you only did one thing short today, I mean, there's lots of short opportunities, but you could have just shorted this every chance you could in front of VWAP for 2 days, and you would be absolutely laughing. But there's another side to this coin. So 2 opportunities where you're looking short because of continuation, but I'll give you one where you can use the same logic to get into a breakout to the long side. SoFi, look, I'm not going to say that it was down on earnings because technically speaking, despite the fact that it spent 90% of the day falling, it was actually up on the day after earnings. But let's be real, the momentum was to the downside for most of the day, and it was gapped down on an offering. So if you were playing the continuation, you were looking for shorts. Now, you could have said something like underneath VWAP, but it wasn't at VWAP at all. So the simple thing I was looking for was if we came right back and gave up the move, which we were gapped underneath, the last time we were down here, where was the big level? $21, $21, $21. So you're simply looking at 21 and saying, okay, well, over under. You can short it early underneath, and that would have worked for you. But the second it got through that price, you know you got to give it up. Now, you don't have to flip. That's fair enough. And the only reason why I think it makes sense to flip in situations like this is because a stock which is giving you that continuation play after earnings, it's probably doing so with a gap. And when it's doing so with a gap, then any break of resistance gives you a little bit more juice to it, and you think there's more upside play. So on day 2, establish a key zone for continuation off of day 1. Understand that there can be a big reversal, as with SoFi, or you can just sit there going in and out over and over again with a similar downward pattern or an upward pattern if it happens to be strong. Earnings season isn't just about guessing as to what's going to happen the next day or playing the extra volume that you get the day after. It can also be establishing a trend and then just playing the trend in the few days after the earnings come out while the stock is still in play. That's your lesson of the day, and trust me, there's going to be lots of great day 2, day 3 earnings plays because it's a monster week, and even next week's pretty big for earnings. So while we're here, might as well enjoy earnings season, everybody. And eat your salads. This one is, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Damn.
6.5. That's crazy, man.
Well, you know, Neil does have, he does have high expectations, and
he's got the palate for sure.
As well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, he can definitely choose the right stuff. Guys, REPL is making the move back up here. Watch out. Here we go. Now REPL is back above the 10 EMA. It's got higher lows. REPL is the ticker we're talking about. Let's get involved over here. Let's see if we can get some continuity to the high side. Now, what's the deal with REPL? Like, what's this current bar low? 15s. Anything below 15s, I'll just stop out. I'm not going to give it too much in the way of risk, so we'll just wait there and see what we get. So REPL headed back up. Be on the lookout for that one. I'm also involved in a couple of names. Let's go to LiDAR first. So not much left on for LiDAR. It tests the 3 mid-90s. We're involved here in the low 80s. Scalped up, but it's having trouble maintaining that price action above 4. So be on the lookout for that if you're holding LiDAR. It's not the biggest mover on the day, quite frankly, but not bad. We're positive on it. Now, Open. I'm involved here with open, so I've got a couple of entries. One is at the high of the day. That looks really bad. Now I'm obviously involved in that 20s, and I'm also interested in 16s. The reason I'm interested in 16s is I see price action, initial resistance at 15. So I'm looking for 15 to act as support now that it is already acted as resistance. So if that's what we get, then I want to front run it by posting at 16. So that's my move there. Let's keep an eye out on that. I see that my friend REPL is coming back. Did it already stop me out? Oops. I think I got stopped out on that one already. Holy cow, that was pretty quick. Let's see. Yes, we did get stopped out on REPL because it just lost the bid very quickly. So if it sets up again, I'll get back involved with REPL. Lastly here on FUBO, I told you I've moved up my stop now to below 20. So if it loses that 20 penny area, which is also the 20 exponential, we're out of that one. So that one is coming back down. Not too much left in this one, though. So I'm just hoping that we do find support at the 20. And then if we start making higher highs and higher lows, I can add back into this position for some more sharage. But really what I'm going to be focusing on now is mostly open, okay? I don't have too much left in LiDAR. Oops. I don't have too much left in LiDAR, so I can kind of rest easy there. But it's open that I'm trying to get involved with now. In the right way. Don't add too much too quickly here, Joey. So I'm trying to pack my patience and see what this one gives us.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone made a comment in the chat is that you don't need these tools. You could just use the options chain. And he's referring to my expected move on options at AI. It's good to gauge, right? There's multiple ways. Again, it's just another indicator, and some people don't like that many. But it's good to gauge because you can kind of correlate two things. So you have your options chain, and then you have something, what another data is telling you, a platform is telling you, and then you can kind of gauge to see, hey, all right, that makes sense. So we were talking about hood earlier, and it just made me think, when you say things like that, my mind starts racing, like, okay. Let's see how we can correlate these things. So what I did is I just pulled up the options chain, and something that we always do is just look at the highest levels of open interest, and that can give you a good gauge as well, too. But if it's not a liquid stock, you're not going to see outstanding size through the open interest. But at Robinhood, as I look at it right now, 110 has 13,500 contracts on this week's expiration cycle. That's not substantial, but just keep an eye out on that, just in case the momentum cools off as you're running into those specific levels, okay? So now let's move on to this next name. That's going to be Carvana. I don't know how they've done this, but anyways, they pulled a rabbit out of a hat, I think, with this year, guys, considering that they were a $30 stock, $13 stock only a couple of years ago. So very good look here. 125% from that trough to where we're currently trading at. Good look. But now let's take a look at the at-the-money IV and see what we'll be paying for this thing. All right, and it's going to be expensive. So we referred to how Microsoft was only about a 3.7% expected move. Robinhood was sitting around 9, and then Meta in between them. Now we've exceeded all of that. We're looking at 11.4% expected move here on CVNA with a high of around 372.81 and a low of around 296.62. Now, what do you think that at-the-money IV is? It's going to be expensive, 200%, 196 to be exact, all right? So just be cautious of what's going on with there. So that's the expected move on CVNA, and then we're going to also take a look at QCOM because they are reporting after the bell, and we'll see what this one is up to and compared to the rest. 6.9%, so something around what was Meta, and then let's pull it up on the options chain and then see if there's any high levels of open interest at those specific strike prices. That is going to put us at a high of around 167, we'll call it, and a low of around 151. Well, what's 167.5 telling us on the chain? Nothing substantial, but if you go up to that next strike price at 170, okay, you're going to be about 6,820 contracts at that specific level. Can that be a call? Well, I don't think it's substantial enough in my opinion, but anything can come into play, especially if you get that momentum move to the top side. Things start to cool as you approach that strike, and then you can see somewhat of a rejection at that level, all right? At the money, IV is only 92.4%. Going to keep an eye out on that. So again, you're going to be paying more premium just because it is the earnings seasons and they will be reporting. There's one more name I believe that I wanted to touch on before we send it back to Sharif. And as for trades right now, guys, I'm just super cooling right now, looking for a prime time setup, maybe Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum. If it works once, we want to get involved in it again. We're constructing higher lows, which is something positive. But if this base is broken, then we have to keep an eye out on that one. APLD. Nothing substantial. This is a lower price stock, but we traded it the other day, and I liked it actually, to be honest. I had a good time trading it. It popped up on my scanner and just took it for long, and it moved relatively well, all right? So expect to move around 12% with a 200% at the money IV, Sharif. That is really, really expensive. But let's see what our options chain is telling us to see if we have anything specific around that high on this evening's report. So a high of around 1131, a low of 890. What is 12 telling us? 8,224 open contracts. That is going to be the largest size on this week's expiration cycle. So keep an eye out on some of those names that I was looking at, guys. I think there's going to be some good moves.
Absolutely, Joey. It should be a really interesting day today. I think there's super chats for you. Thank you very much, the Danzone $5 super chat. Difference between gambling and options trading? Question mark. One ruins your life slowly. The other one is in Vegas. Y'all are awesome. Question, thoughts on Apple earnings? Okay, so this is going to be a super interesting one. That comes tomorrow with Amazon. Make sure to catch that on the Market Recap show with us. Look, you know, to me, what I'm going to be listening for are a couple of things. One is going to be readily apparent on the actual earnings release, whether or not there's iPhone sales weakness. That's really what it comes down to. I also want to hear about the services revenue, especially, you know, with that Google partnership now being put into question. So that's what we'll be able to see immediately from the release of the numbers. What I'll be listening to on the call, which will take place subsequent about an hour or so after. I think Apple comes out at 4:30. Maybe the call starts at 5:30. Do your homework there. I'm going to be listening for tariff-related news. Now, we saw Donald Trump make a deal today with China, or if you want, I mean, not China, sorry, India, and it's to the tune of 25% tariffs. So if Apple, you know, wanted to shift production as much as they could, or assembly, let's call it that, to India, you know, they've definitely got a better tariff rate there than they do in China, which is currently like 54%, which they don't have specialized carve-outs for. So I'll be listening to what Apple's tariff strategy is. So that's going to be my thinking there, and whether or not they're going to be able to de-risk. Needless to say, I'll also be listening on cues for Apple Intelligence. I am more inclined to believe that they'll keep the kind of the lid sealed on the Apple Intelligence story, because I won't want to give away strategic internal strategic plays, but I think they will be more transparent with respect to their tariff strategy so that they can earmark that to the administration. They want the administration to kind of know exactly what it is, especially if it works in their favor. So those are what I'll be listening to. I'll be listening, or I'll be looking on the actual financial release of the earnings with respect to, iPhone sales, as well as service revenue. And then on the call, I'm going to be listening to tariff, specifically with China, and what else did I say there with respect to, I said something there. So that's what I'll be doing both. I'll be doing it live on both. Hopefully it'll be a bit of a better story there, Joey.
Yeah, for sure. I think service revenue is going to be a big part, because we talked about it then with the likes of Google as well too, paying them a hefty $20 billion.
Pay to man.
Yeah, pay to man. They pay them quite a bit. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what that comes up. Thank you, gentlemen. Anytime. So, Susie, yeah, just continue to learn, read on that stuff, and then sure enough, you'll be able to pick up on some of the lingo. The market is just steadily grinding higher here as well, too, guys. I observed that over the past couple of sessions. So you established this low. The SPY got really, really weak here, and you cracked through some pre-market levels, but they're like, no, we're just going to buy this up. So just keep an eye out on this level. I think that's going to be really important, that HOD high of the day, that is. And if you do breach that, then maybe you're going to continue to climb higher. But if volume starts to really cool off as we're approaching it, then maybe look for somewhat of a small turnaround in any form of indecision that you see. And just like to break things down, we talk about VPA quite often, but we haven't really dove right into it deep. But you can see that sometimes the stock tells you when things are about to turn around, and you start to see all this selling pressure step into these candles. And this is what you would want to see, right? This is a genuine move. This is a big time move. And I think that you don't want to be shorting that specific candle, right? You want to start looking for indecision prints around the highs. And I think that's something really important to note. Adara, what do you got for us?
Keep an eye on REVB, Revelation Biosciences. This one's spiking a bit here. I'm seeing this headline coming through, reported by endpoint. Now, apparently, Vinay Prasad has left the FDA. He wasn't there for very long. He was there for about 3 months. But we're seeing this report that he's going to be replaced by this individual by the name of George Tidmarsh. Now, I looked into this. He was actually on the board of directors at Revelation Biosciences, and interestingly enough, he only retired a couple months ago. So George Tidmarsh, just a couple months after his retirement from REVB, and that board apparently set to be the acting head of the FDA Biologics Center. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens there, but either way, looks like there could be a bit of a shakeup in the FDA Biologics Center. Right now, a good look for the stock of REVB. Back to you.
I just want to answer this question first. Hornstar 2000, Sharif. Yeah, whatever, it's his name. I don't really care. Do you think Apple has a chance of going to zero? Yes, I do. In fact, I think it's probably going to go zero by the end of tomorrow. Thank you for your question. Yeah, anything you've got over there?
Yeah, zero on Apple.
Dumbass question is that, bro?
Yeah, I know, zero, that'd be crazy. Yeah. I'm ready. Who's doing
Go ahead, Joe.
Who's doing it?
We're doing it live, baby. All right, savvy Canadian traders, listen up. Are you looking to boost your exposure? You can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3x daily leverage ETFs featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders ready to take on the market. Read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. Shout out to the great folks at Beta Pro. All right, Joey, let's have a look over here. So I'm in open right now. We're break even on this trade. I'm looking for the 10 EMA on the 5 to hold and continuity up, but we are getting selling, staunch selling at $2.22. Can't shake that seller. That's exactly where we're, our average cost basis right now. So let's pack our patience and see what we get there. Still have a DCA that hasn't filled at 16s. Now I'm back into Repel like a psycho. And here we go. We're doing it live to the high side. We're taking out 23s. How many shares do we have here so we don't take out too much too quickly? 25 setting up now. Let's set up at 28, and then we're going to layer into the high side over here, likely into the low 30s. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm seeing a higher low here now, a higher high on my friend Repel. Let's keep an eye out on this one. Let's see if it's got the juice to let this one loose. 723 now showing up, but like we saw before on Repel, let's not get excited for the price spikes up because there's a whole bunch of selling. Oh my goodness, it just took out all my orders. There we go. One left unprinted, Joey, the one in the 30s. There's that 30 seller again. We can't shake them. So let's go ahead and now post up at high 30s. There goes the 30 seller. He's gonzo. Let's post up now a little bit in the 40s. Let's see if we can get some good continuity here on REPL. Good situation with this one on the day. Let's see if it can give us more. It's a 775 high, man. And we've been holding the lows. We've been putting in higher lows generally here on a trend basis, but we're not exactly getting that explosion to the high side in the way that we saw maybe at 11:15. Look at that 11:15 5-minute candle. I'm talking about this one right here. You got a parabolic move, essentially from 688. Within 2 5-minute candles, you were at 777s. And I ain't talking about the airplane. No, for real though. I mean, this one has the potential to explode to the high side. It has not been doing that for the last hour or so. So let's see what this one has to offer, if it has anything left to offer. We're at 29s right now showing 32s, 34s. Can we get up a little bit higher? This is the current candle high is 34, so we know the seller is hanging out at 34s. Just looking at between two screens, guys. Sorry, I keep moving my head like this. So now we're selling at 32s, 35s now. So we took out the 34 seller, but it's literally every dang penny we are being met with a wall of selling. Now we're 36s, and there's more selling at 36. Look how staunchy that seller is. So yeah, it's a very thick book over here, and you need to take a note of that, right? It's part of the characteristic of the small cap gapper, each one kind of with its own little look. So let's pack our patience, see if we can get through that level. Now, back to open. That 22 seller, we couldn't shake them. So we're back down into 18, still going unfilled is my 16 dip trade. The 16 dip trade is basically based on this area, this implied balance high. The implied balance high, which is basically the high of the first hour of trading, which was this candle over here, which took us to 216, so 15, excuse me. That's why I've set up at 16s, looking to take out that area there. Let's go back now to my friend REPL. There it goes, Joey, into the mid 40s on REPL. Boom. Let's take out some more up here. How many shares do we have so we don't fat finger and take out too much too quickly? Now we're posting on the north side of 50. And now we're going to post up in the mid 50s, mid to high 50s. Let's see if REPL's got the juice to let this one loose, baby. Keep your eye out on this one. It's up 100%, and it looks like it might be back in vogue. So is FUBO. FUBO, I guess that's the French way of saying FUBO. Sorry about that. It's the Canadian side of me coming out there. You know, we're dual language country over here, Joey. It's not just English. So yeah, looking for FUBO to take out 35s, got a higher low, held the 20, Joey. We're still involved. We got 23s on here showing 27s.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, good luck there. Man, Ethereum. I love this name. Continue to climb higher and recover. I'm going to get involved in some Bitcoin because I have missed this. The ship has sailed on Ethereum, but that's all right, guys. Multiple opportunities to get involved. We're talking options. More important, to educate each other and continuously grow. But we're involved in some Bitcoin on that one. Let's see what I got to pull up here momentarily. I am not on the right date because I was looking to do some things, but we still got some time. All right, thank you, Christina. I appreciate that one. Yeah, exactly. But there it is. We're in some Bitcoin. Let me pull it up on my screen here, guys, so you can see what we got going on. What an absolute beautiful recovery in Ethereum, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does breach this high of the day, especially on this trajectory it's on. The volume's starting to pick up there, so yeah, really good look. I was the last liquidity grab there, which sucks, and you guys know what I'm going to say. Sucks to suck sometimes, but anyways, trade the pool. With Trade the Pool swing trading programs, you can get access up to $40,000 in buying power to trade real shares, not CFDs. You can hold positions overnight, over the weekend, and enjoy limited risk. Thanks to a one-time evaluation fee, no monthly payments, no hidden costs. Take Vincent J, for example, one of Trade the Pool's swing traders. He's already locked in $23,082 in profits. His top performer, Newsmax, NMAX. He shorted it from April 20th to May 30th and pulled in a whopping $6,700 gain. Good work there, Vincent. Trade the Pool is giving swing traders the tools, the time, and the capital to thrive. Scan the QR code and enjoy 10% off. We say Vincent, it might be Vicente, to be honest with you. I heard Katina, man, I had to double read that one. But so shout out to Vicente on that one. Shout out to Ethereum because that's cooking up. We're slowly building our position in that one, and we're going to hold on to that for a little while. Well, I don't know why I continue to type it in, but because we want to focus on what Bitcoin's up to. Am I slightly out of the money? Yes. It's not performing as well. We are at the lower end of the range, so maybe we can recover here, but consistently forming these lower highs, all right? So let's pull up Spot itself to see what it's up to today, because I'm always keeping my eye on this thing. Trade, Why do you do that? And let's see what we got going on. 117.87. We are on a weekly chart here. But again, this is a positive consolidation, right? So it's holding the lows pretty good. 113, 110. We'll call it whatever you want to. It doesn't have to be exact. But from a daily... did you just get something in your ear?
Yeah, bulletin received.
What does that mean?
It's probably going to tell us something about like a holiday. I can check it right now.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll look at it.
So like an update or something along those lines?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's it. That's what we got going on. Grabbing the lows here, I think, is the ideal way. If it does liquidity grab like it does right here, then just continuously buy more. If it does break out of the range, obviously you don't want to hold on to a loser for too long. But if you have the type of capital just to continuously DCA in this name, and I don't know, I think you have to at some point just get past the fact that even if you like it or not, this thing just prints absolutely money and consistently prints money. Can you lose a lot? Absolutely. But since this IBIT ETF IPO'd, and obviously across the board, there's plenty of them, since it's optionable now, since we're getting more adoption and more clarity on what we want to see within the crypto space, why not just dabble a little bit of it, whether it be 1%, 2%, 10%, 50%, you do something that you're slightly uncomfortable with just to continue that growth. But Bitcoin, most definitely a long-term play, consolidating. Once again, you can see it on the weekly. But if we're going back to what it's done in the past history, small liquidity grab, additional leg higher. My guy Tom Lee says a couple million in a couple years. With that being said, is that a bullish case? I think so. Can the base case be $250,000 by the end of the year? Maybe, possibly, but if it is going to be what happens and comes into fruition, we're going to have to see some big-time moves in Bitcoin, and I don't know if we're going to experience it just yet, but who knows? Only time will tell, my friend.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, guys, this is make or break time here for open. It's going to have to hold this general area. Anything below 10s, we're out. So open, we've got right now into 21s. It's going to have to hold the general area of this level because this is the area where it rejected originally. So I'm looking for this specific area to act as support. Whether or not it does, we'll have to find out. It's been interesting today on open. Let's go back to FUBO. This one is still making higher highs and higher lows, so nothing for me to do there but REPL. Look at that selling on REPL into that predictable area into 50s, and here it comes back down again. You can bet your last dollar that 1 penny below my entry, we're putting our stop at 707. We're in at 708. We're not going to let any part of this go against us. REPL, wide ranges per candle on literally every successive candle there. So let's wet the beak over here. Something's going on with my system, guys. You're gonna have to take over because I can't get any out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's see what we got going on with this. You can see, boom, 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 starting to come against us a little bit more. So yes, it's not the stronger one out of Ethereum and Bitcoin, but we'll see what we got going on. Again, this is where I fault a lot here, guys. Is that it's just like Joe. Okay, I get it. You get lick grabbed here. You fail this, and then you use this here. It's just like just hop in at the hold of VWAP. It's just like it's not that complicated. Don't complicate it. Just take the risk. Yeah. So, pardon me. Oh, you're talking about? All right, yeah. So this is really starting to kind of grind my gears there, guys. But I mean, nice trade. And it's like you did it once, do it again. And if it doesn't work, it's like, okay, you get this move. I didn't want to turn a winning trade into a losing one. So you get that break-even stop out, considering the bulk of the position is up here, right? So that's fine, justifiable. You don't get back in once, but it gives you another opportunity and you don't get back in. That's just bad trading, in my opinion, right? So for me, it's just like, I don't even have the fail button, but we'll hit this one just because, again, it sucks to, thank you. Yeah, it sucks to suck sometimes. What is Joe's at? I am at, let's see, I'm at Joe TTV. At Joe TTV. I'll just type something and there it is. Sorry about that. Joe TTV. So yeah, good call. It's just me just kind of ranting about just taking multiple opportunities. I know Katina Man and Neil are really good at that.
Okay, I'm good to go.
So yeah, just continue to do so, right? Otherwise, I'd rather, Sharif and I talked about that. Would you rather have the feeling of regret or just the feeling of discipline, right? Just do it, man. Just do it.
Yeah, no, seriously though. Yeah. Like it sounds lame, or it's just like this headline that everybody.
I don't think it is at all, man. I think.
No, man. It struck me. It struck me for real because let me tell you, bro. Neither of them feel good. Yeah, they're both like cumbersome.
Man, yeah, it sucks, but at the end of the day, but it's good, man.
It did, obviously, because it gets the right reps in, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's the good thing about it. But I don't know, man. I like, when you're waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, it's just like today. Like, I didn't have it today. I'm going to tell you the truth. Yeah, I didn't.
That's fair.
Today's the first day in 4 days. I didn't smash a session in the morning. It was just like, it's midweek. My body's killing. So there are going to be those days where you give up, but it's like incumbent upon you to kind of keep the higher lows. Does that make any sense, bro?
Sharif, this is exactly what I was getting at. Mm-hmm. Okay, we all know that you like consistency. As you just mentioned, the chances of you going to the gym every day are probably slim. But if you do have that lapse in consistency, I think consistency lays in the fact of how quick you get back on track.
There you go.
Because you're going to fall off track. It's inevitable. Yeah, but how quick you get back on track is a big part of the consistency.
I couldn't agree more, Joey.
Right?
All right, guys. Sorry, I was just having some issues there. Thank you to Neil for helping me out there. Obviously, a good look from the former floor manager. He knows exactly what he's talking about because I had more sell orders posted than I actually had shares, so it wouldn't let me short it. So then that's why I was blocking my order. So that was a mistake, an oversight on my part. Thank you to Neil for helping out with that. So now what we're looking at here is REPL again, guys. We still got shares under this one. And here we go again, Adara, with that 7.5. Maybe by the time we get back, we'll have taken it. What's up?
Hopefully it doesn't repel that level. I do want to mention here, NKE on watch. This one dropping a bit. Adidas just dropped their Q2 earnings. Operating profit was a beat, but operating margin and gross margin were both pretty notable misses. Operating margin, they reported here at 3.2% versus 8.5% expected. Gross margin, 0.9% versus 51.7% expected. Those numbers are pretty strong. If I see anything else here, I'll let you know. But either way, looks like Adidas had a pretty nasty margin miss, though Q2 operating profit, was a beat. NKE dropping, guys. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adair. All right, that's the look there, Joey.
You got anything there?
Yeah, we're just still looking for that Repel $0.50 take. It's still eluding us, but it kind of feels that the higher lows here are signaling it could just be a matter of time for these sellers that are waiting at the $0.50. Now, I don't like to make these kind of pronouncements, like that. But what is, again, really catching my attention are the successively higher lows. And usually if you get these higher lows, then we'll see. But I'm packing my patience here. I'm looking for that $0.50 break. It's showing 44s, but the real level has been a bit above that, though. It's been really like the $0.50, more like it. Right now, there's profit taking or short selling at the $0.50. Here it is, 47s. We just took out some sellers there. Let's watch 49s now. Whoa! 55. We take out one of the orders. Let's see. Can we get continuity now, though? Above 50. That's been the level. It's been a staunchy level. Now the sellers are at 54. 55s now, Joey, we can't shake the sellers. So the high of the day, don't forget, is 75 pennies. Let's see if we can squeeze above that 75 pennies. Let's go ahead and post. We're going to post in the mid-60s. So let's see if we can get that. Now we're waiting in the mid-50s, high 50s, and now mid-60s. We're not getting that 50 clearance. Right back below the 50 penny we go. The short sellers are all about this one. They want to take this one down. They want to keep it below 100. But boom, into that area again, Joey option.
Peter said no boom.
Let's see.
I'm like, yeah. Peter said no boom. I'm like, I don't know, man. You're going to have to talk to him.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. 59s though showed up, Joey. Let's see. Can we clear 59? Can we get 60? We're 103 in the clear now. 103%. We still can't shake that 60 seller, but this is a good looking green candle. 65, Joey option 75. We take out the high of the day. Oh, I screwed this one up. See if we can get out some here. Oh, that's what happens. You're old and your hands suck. So we weren't able to take out some there. We're still holding some over here. Let's see if we can post in the mid-70s and we can get another attempt at that 74 break. But REPL, good look on the day. We're in at 8s and it's still going here. Keep your eye out on this one. Still involved in whatchamacallit. What's this, FUBO? Where's this one at? Still holding this one. But really the bad story of the day is going to have to be open. We've got 21s. It's showing me 15. We have shares on this one, so we're out of the money, full disclosure. I'm looking for this one to hold. It's not holding, and I don't know why I'm DCAing like this. It's probably not the right thing to do here. But there goes 75 again on REPL. So we don't have too many outs on this one. I'm going to pack my patience. Let's see if we can get into 4, REPL. Tisha, I hope you're still there, man, because you were talking all about REPL in the first hour, and now it has touched the high of the day again. Good look for REPL. It's a 75 high, 79 high here, Joey. Let's see if we can squeeze into 8.
Nice. Good look. Darius, good to see you back there, man. Yeah, no, by all means, you got to do what you got to do, right? But it's good to see you back here in the chat. I'm like, where has Darius been? And I know now you're in some INTC. Remember, brother, you just always got to buy that time. I want to I think it might be gone here. No, it is. Okay, so Dan, the Dan zone. All right, so we're kind of going back a little bit. He says the difference between gambling and options trading, one ruins your life, the other's in Vegas. Right? Comical comment, right? Funny, yeah. But I'll slightly have to disagree. A lot more can go bad in Vegas, that's for sure. Just ask a couple of your friends that have been to Vegas and just watch The Hangover. I'm sure you're gonna have a bad time there. All right,
it's the best movie.
But yeah, exactly. It's literally the best movie. Yeah. But at the end of the day, guys. And my guy Darius Golden is here, and I've always preached this. You got to understand that you're using a leveraged derivative, and all the attractive prices of $1 this, $1 that, $1 this, $1 that. It's all fantastic stuff. But if you actually use the vehicle correctly, it's not that dangerous at all. It's actually a lot safer than trading equities. Why? Because if you're just buying them long puts and long calls. And guess what? You can only lose so much money, right? It's a fixed amount. Unlike with stocks, you can continuously sell, or if you're short, it can continuously rip, and next thing you know, you're blowing up accounts. But for me, it's just like, and it took me a while to figure this out, it's just buy the time, buy the time, buy the time. That's it. That's all I'm going to put on options. You can use it as a regular trading vehicle, but you just have to take advantage and pay a little bit more premium and avoid the attractive prices and just buy a year out, buy 8 months out if you're swing trading. If you're looking for longer term investing, go with the 2-year leaps. If it has 3 years, just buy them. Right? If you're looking to do that, it's just use the leverage derivative correctly, and you're not going to have necessarily those comparisons to what's going on in Vegas. And I mean, obviously, if you do things wrong, I've got my face blown off if you're writing. There's other ways that you can lose substantial amounts of money, but if you're using the vehicle correctly, then you'll be okay.
I just want to rant here about Vegas for a second. So
yeah,
I went.
I've never been, man.
So I went. The latest time was 21. I went right after COVID, kind of towards the end of COVID. It was late July 2021. I went with my brother-in-law and my nephew. And I remember it to be entirely different than I experienced it. Now, maybe because it had something to do with that we were still pseudo-COVID, but I felt like they had been closed down for so long that they were just looking to rinse you at every turn. So, remember, like, there were always loss leaders. Like, the buffet would be cheap so that you could come in and gamble. And there were, like, different places on the strip. You can get, like, a $20 steak, blah, blah, blah. Bro, those places seem to either, like, be gone completely or maybe off the strip. But, like, I felt like everything had become super expensive, super high margin. Let's just take everybody for what they have, kind of thing. And I didn't really like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just making I'm speculating. I don't know. Was anybody else has experienced that lately, like in Vegas? Say that again, Ram. That's what Ram's friend said as well. Like, I went to Vegas a bunch of times in my 20s and early 30s, and I didn't feel like it was like that at all, Joey. And let's just call something else a spade, okay? You know that cannabis is legal in Nevada now. They had a freaking store on the strip right in front of, I believe, the city center, if I'm not mistaken, selling cannabis. Dude, it's all CBD only. No THC, and they rob you blind. And then if you try to call them back, they don't have a phone number. It's literally, dude, it was just rinsing after rinsing after rinsing. I didn't have a good time last time I went.
That was it's funny. So when Celine and I went to Tulum, we would tell people that we were going to Tulum, and all they really had to say is, "Yeah, it's so expensive. Be prepared to get rinsed." And rightfully so. It's like for every dinner you go out to is like $300-400 USD. You know what I mean?
Bro, like,
so it's crazy. I mean, it's a beautiful spot. It's beautiful stuff. But when you go and do those kind of extra curriculars, then it's just
I wasn't down.
Yeah.
I didn't have a good time, and like it dissuaded me completely from wanting to go back.
To go back? Yeah, that's fair, man.
Completely from wanting to go back.
That's
at least
fair.
for the moment, anyway.
Bitcoin, not doing too much here. Ethereum starting to pull back. We're still sitting in this long. Until it breaks the big low here, then we'll see what that is. But I'm curious to what everybody else is thinking and saying in the chat about this. I'm going to step to the Motley Crue. Okay, so that's interesting. That's going to be a riot for sure. St. Bart's is expensive. You see anything interesting in the comments there? Yes, they are taxing you from all angles now in Vegas. Yeah, if it just seems to be one of those.
People are not saying good stuff.
Yeah, about Vegas. And I've never been personally. It's probably best that I
Man, it used to be a time, dude. A time. Okay, so it was super simple. Like in your 20s, we're in university, you're broke AF, right? So you sit on the penny stocks. I'm such a DJ. The penny slots.
Yeah, the penny
and
slots.
the waitress comes around, you load up on drinks, you tip her well, obviously, but the drinks are free, we know that. You before the club, you hit the club, you're gonna spend money on drinks in the club. It's like $25, $30 a pop. But let me tell you, dude, they were holding it down. They filled it up nice. So even though you were paying through the nose, you got your money's worth. It was fun. It was cool. Now I felt like everything was just penny pinching and trying to, again, I don't want to keep going on with the same thing. That was just my observation last time. I didn't have a good time.
Inflation, man, that's for sure. Yeah, the things got a little expensive. Yo, Tegan, did you see that one? I have to hide that one, unfortunately. What T. Jegan said.
What did he say?
TJ Egan said. You just read it. I can't say it.
Let me see what he said.
TJ Egan.
No, we can't say that, bro.
No, we can't say that, bro.
You gotta get us in trouble, man. We shouldn't even be laughing at that.
Yeah, we
gonna
shouldn't
get
be
mad.
laughing at that, but I'll laugh at that because I got a good sense of humor. I'm gonna get out of this Bitcoin buffoonery here because it's not doing too good. So we'll take a small loss on that one. That's okay. We'll find something else just in case this market is ready to turn over. Double top on the SPY. So again, you just want to look for those selling pressure signals within the price action as you climb to key levels. And then sure enough, it was displayed here. And if we zoom in, we'll be able to identify them on the 1 minute time frame as well too. So you can see that lower high was essentially was established. So failed to break through these key levels, and then now it's starting to turn back over. If we get a retest of this zone, maybe we'll get involved in some shorts here in the overall market, but same thing with the Qs. So you did break through that high, but then again, you get these hammer candles, a nice liquidity grab through there, and then started to curl back over. We'll zoom in and see what we got going on from the 1 minute time frame to see if anything's more identifiable. But here it is. Yeah, whoa, that's weird. I never expected that. Liquidity issues on TQs. I don't know how accurate that is, but here it is, somewhat of a double top. You do get that whipsaw move through those key levels, and then now you're starting to pull back in towards the volume weighted average price. Hold of 90.26. Maybe we look to get short in the overall market, Sharif.
All right, guys, I'm still holding my position here on open. It's showing me 17s. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this one. I can flatten out here for a loss, or we can continue to wait and see whether or not we can test that $quarter dollar OPEN. It's not my favorite by a long shot, up 5%. You know, I don't know what I'm even doing looking at this. So that's the situation. But look at REPL. So we got out into 8 on REPL. It is an 807 technical high, but it's having trouble with 8. Now, having said that it's having trouble, this current candle, at least a second ago, was a bottoming tail candle, meaning that buyers were buying it exuberantly on the pullback down. But here we are, coming back into the mid to low 80s. Let's see, do we get a red candle forming here at $8 with a lower low, but not with a lower high, excuse me, but not yet a lower low? To put in a lower low, it's going to have to break and hold below 768. It's still defending 80, but here we go. We're losing it. Here come the low 70s. This one feels like it, you know, it might be rejecting at 8, at least for the moment. REPL, this is the #1 gapper in the market right now, over 100%, but it's coming into a key psychological area of resistance, that $8 area. And if you don't believe that psychological resistance stuff, take a gander at the chart over here. 7:50 a.m., we move up to 7, drop. 9 o'clock, we move into 7, drop down to 580. Regular trading hours, 7, reject, 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 reject. Finally, 11:15, we take out 7. So the whole dollar, at least $7 was, doesn't mean 8 will, maybe, because it maybe had short sellers who were more exuberant at 7 than they will at 8. Who knows? So we'll keep an eye out on it. But REPL rejecting 8 for now, and this current candle coming back down into the $0.75, and now it's made a lower low. Now we've opened up a new candle that's made a lower low below the 2 prior candles. So we could be moving back into 7.5 here. Be on the lookout for that. Why do I say 7.5? Couple of reasons. 1, it's a price action resistance level initially. 2, the 10 EMA on the 5 now is at 7.5. So you have that double area of support. Former price action resistance turned to support, 10 EMA at 7.5. Let's see if it comes back down into 7.5. It's showing high 60s for now. I don't mind punching back into this one. It'll be for smaller size, I can promise you that, because I won't want to give back on it, but we will get involved if it is warranted to get back involved. So I'm keeping my eyes on REPL, the #1 gapper in the market at the moment, but off the highs at 807, looking for a 7.5 pullback. Let's weasel back now to open. That seller at 17s, still unshakable. We've got 4 candles that made higher lows, but you know, not with the same type of gusto that they were making lower highs and lower lows on. So I think I should be flattening out here, full disclosure. I don't think this is the right trade. I don't even think I should have been involved in this one to begin with. It was only up, you know, high single digit, low double digits. I don't even know I punched into this, but anyway, I'm involved in it now, and now I have to deal with whatever comes. So keeping an eye on the 17 level. If 17 continues to prevent us from ascending, or if I see the same type of crap I'm seeing on 17 right now at 18 and 19, I'm just going to flatten out. I don't need to deal with this, right? I can look at something else and have more opportunities with all that mental capacity that I'm spending on this, you know what. So let's move back now to REPL as it's still making lows, still trying to come in now into the low 60s. Let's see if it touches the high 50s. Remember, we're waiting at 750 here for price action resistance previously and the 10 EMA on the 5. Joseph, REPL seems like it's got the goods today. Let's see if it can continue putting in said goods into the slower market.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going over some of the notes here as well too.
Yeah. Do your thing.
Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, good stuff.
So just let everybody know, maybe because we didn't really tell everybody. Yeah. So you know how we always do the news, Joseph and I, on the midday when things slow down. We should typically do it like around 1:15. Adara will be joining us from now on. She's going to be giving us her perspective on things, so we're very excited to have her chime in, and I'm sure you guys are as well. And if Neil is around as well at that time, he'll be chiming in. I didn't have an opportunity to ask the Katina man, but you know, if he can drop some hot fire as well, I'm sure he will as well. So that's what we're doing today, guys. We're going to be doing it from now on, kind of thing. We're going to try to get everybody involved in the news items so everybody can see the varying opinions that exist on this stage right now. Joey Options has his own. Adara certainly has her own, as do I. Neil, Sean, they all have their own opinions. Yeah. We're just not going to ask Ram anything.
I don't know. Oh, yeah.
We don't like it.
Hey, she gave me so bright and early. I think it was around 9:30. I got some Reese's Pieces Smarties.
So bright and early is 9:30, eh? 9:30. That's bright and early. Well, it's bright and early for Ram, but I expected more from you, Joey.
Well, I mean, but she comes up to me, she's like, "Look what I got." I'm like, "Reese's Pieces." She's like, "Yeah."
You know what she did to me on Friday?
She
brought Neil chocolate and she gave me salt.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're salty.
I know. She hates me that much, Randy. I don't know what's going on, right? But
shut up, Randy. Getting a little peckish myself here.
All right, guys, that's what we're doing.
Ooh.
Oh, Ram, you're so nice. I'm going to have
a few
of them.
Wait.
We're going to have a few, Joey.
All right.
We're going to have a few.
They're not refrigerated, man.
Thank you, Ram. Here, you can give them back.
They're not even refrigerated. What kind of?
Don't worry about that, bro. I'm going to have some Reese's Pieces.
I'll be honest. You know what? I'm going to give those. I never had those before. I'm going to give them a 4.9. You're
going to give a 4.9?
Yes, because
that's crazy.
Out of 10. Yeah.
Ram's very upset.
No, but listen, I just like the regular Reese cup more.
Okay.
And yeah, okay, sorry. I apologize for that one. No, what was I talking about? I don't even know anymore, to be honest with you guys. Yeah, we're in this Bitcoin trade here. Let's see if this thing can start to work out. So yeah, we're gonna sit in this. Come on, strength. The thing is though, the order's relatively weak. Let's get our quote highlights up as well too. I think that's really important here, guys. So just keep that in mind. I was going over some other things just to look and see, hey, what can we have for a potential swing trade? And it was SoFi, to be honest with you, up until this public offering, which of common stock, 1.4 billion to be exact. I'm like, hey, this was looking pretty good on a daily, right? Or was it? Yeah, I have no idea what I'm talking about, to be honest with you. There's something a different name, so I apologize. It was not SoFi. But yeah, this is a big-time inverted hammer candle right there. I know Adara was talking about this. You get this move higher, 25.14, then you give up the gab right there, and then you continue to give up the gab, I guess.
Hey.
As your folk like to say.
Oh, my folk?
Yeah.
My folk,
yeah, the English.
I love it. Yeah, bro, I'm all about that English life, man.
I know, me too. I like the language.
Shout out to ADL. And everybody else from England, man. Yeah. We love y'all. And the Premier League now is 2 weeks away, my friend.
Oh, really?
And you know how much Arsenal spent?
How much?
215 million quid on player acquisitions. As you and I talked about, it's different in Europe.
Yeah.
You're buying
so
players,
is that including transfer fees or just contracts?
Those are the transfer fees only, Joey. We're not even talking about
you guys
salaries.
Looking pretty good right now?
We're looking real good, man.
Right.
We got a striker, we got several midfielders, we got a winger from Chelsea, we got a defenseman as well to back up the duo that we have. So we've got in every position. But you know, I've seen this story before with Arsenal, man. Yeah. And while I tell you about that story, let me tell you about this one as well. All right, guys, let's talk some India. VinFast just opened up its very first showroom there, and they're not stopping. The plan, 35 dealerships, guys, across 27 cities by the year end. And yes, their pre-booking is already live. This all comes ahead of their CKD plant launch. VinFast isn't just entering India, they're planting the flag. If you're tracking deliveries, this is a textbook move to power their 200,000 vehicle global target for 2025. Shout out to the great folks there at VinFast. I hope they do fantastic. And yeah, time will tell how they were able to do. So that's a look there, Joey. So look, Open is back into 19. So took out the 17 seller. We're still out of the money. We're going to be out of the money until we get to 21. And so I'm going to pack my patience here. We got shares on here on Open. So if it goes against me, it's going to be bad for me. So just full disclosure, okay? So we'll see what this one does. If it can break up, I'm waiting at 22s as my first exit there. And then we'll be layering orders. So OPEN finding some general support at the area that we talked about there, that 15, 16. But we're not out of the clear, not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. So that's what I'm keeping my eye out there. Passport to Chaos. Love the name, by the way. Love the name. I kind of like organized chaos. Does that make sense, or is that an oxymoron?
No,
okay, my bad. What time is the Fed meeting today? So we get the interest rate decision right at 2 o'clock. It's automatic. It gets released. Now, if you're looking for the Fed statement, the Fed chair statement, it will be posted on the FOMC website right at 2 o'clock. You can go in there, read what Jerome Powell will be reading on the podium ahead of time, half an hour ahead of time. And then at 2:30, he takes the podium. And that is, you know, initially he's just reading the statement that is already posted on the website. But the wild card always is the question and answer period with reporters. And it is more important today than it was last time. Let me make my case for you. We have no economic projections nor the dot plot being released with the FOMC rate decision today, as we did last time. So a lot of what the members were thinking was in the dot plot, in their economic projections, neither of which we get today. Therefore, there will be more emphasis on the verbs, the words, the nouns, the adjectives that your boy Jerome Powell is going to use at the big stage. So make sure you're around with us. We're going to send it to the Big Kahunas 5 minutes early today, and then we're going to weasel up and do the coverage as we typically do for the FOMC meeting. So make sure to stick around. Bless you, Ram. Keep it down, please. On the show, and we'll definitely have all the bases covered there. Hope you can definitely join us. Shout out to Passport to Chaos. Love the name. The philanthropist Baker. Organized chaos exists. It's called entropy. See, Joey? See, Joey?
Yeah, I know about
entropy. From now on, I'm going to use that.
Entropy.
Shout out to Yannick. They will bring, hold on, they will bring back the More Trader TV live stream. I don't know, brother. I'm going to have to look at the production team. Fabian, is there any plans to bring back More Trader TV live? No, there is not. Okay. So you got the answer to your question there. I'm sorry to have to answer it.
That was like a good quick answer, Shreve.
Yeah. Well, it's a decisive answer, Joey.
Yes. So what's decisive is the fact that we are forming these lower highs on IBIT. So that is not a good sign. We'll just do some basic TA right there, guys, and see what we got cooking up. Until we snap that, then I am not looking too good. I will hold this until the break of this here, so which I think is going to happen. You can see the weakness displayed on the tape, but otherwise we're just kind of just chopping around. I was talking about a short on the TQs as we're running into some key levels here as well, too, guys. So just keep that in mind. VIX slightly spiked up for the past couple of days. I remember I was in the hole a bit on those contracts, and then I was like, I put them, I'm like, oh, nice. Do I just close them for a small loss, or do I continue to hold them? We'll hold them because that's what we like to do. But here it is. This was the level that I was referring to earlier. Let me pull up the Qs because I don't know why there's so much is so illiquid today. I don't think it was ever the case. But there it is, a nice hold of this level, and then you're starting to slowly curl back over. Maybe we'll dabble a little bit in this just because considering that the IBIT doesn't want to perform right now for me, we'll get involved in some TQs short. I like that continuation as we take a pretty dive there. So yeah, we'll get involved small on this one to see what we got, just in case this Bitcoin trade doesn't work out, and we'll just try to mitigate some of these losses here. It's Joey now. Oh, Greg V. Yeah, apparently that's what they call
It's everything. It's Joey, it's Joseph, it's Joe, bro.
Yeah.
He's got all the names, man.
Yeah. My guy Greg V. Good seeing you in the chat.
What'd your friends call you there? You were saying in high school. What was it again?
The Nature Boy.
The Nature Boy.
Yeah, the Nature Boy, man. Yeah, the Nature Boy.
I like it. I like it.
No, I was just because man, summertime. I'm telling you, it's just minimal clothing. That's for sure. I tell you that because I like the heat and I like everything out there. Greg, my Discord, I'm not in it right now, so I can't talk to you because it's logged me out. So I have to figure out my old password and everything along those lines. So when I get home, and then I got to go buy a new mouse because I told you that Milo chewed through that. So that's gonna be a while to see what's going on there. Tell Sharif, yeah, guys, I promised you we're gonna get those pictures. I hold most promises. Next time I go visit my grandma, we'll take a look and see what we got going on with those. So I'll find that. But right now, we are long some Bitcoin, short the TQs, see if this comes into play. Considering that we've already established a lower high, I think at this point you just kind of got to sit through some of this chop. And then once you break this 1915 level, then maybe you can get this continuation. But if it does establish a new one up there, then we'll just hop out of this trade. No worries about that one. But yeah, again, you whipsaw move, boom, boom, you break through there, looking for the break of this 1910 level, key support level, and I think at that point, you'll have that double top form that we've seen and are somewhat experiencing in the SPY, and you get that move back towards the volume.
Apple's tanking,
right?
bro. Apple is
okay,
dropping,
so that's positive for me. That's positive for me, AAPL.
Yeah.
If Apple's dropping aggressively, then I think that's going to be a positive.
Low
the
day.
thing is, though, if the Qs don't start to participate by the time that Apple rebounds, you're going to have to hop out of that trade. So that's what my game plan is for that one. Out of the money on IBIT as it's continuing to sell, still slightly out of the money on TQ Street.
All right, guys. As I kind of suspected, OPEN comes into $2.20, rejects. Seller at 220 keeps us in that lower high, excuse me, not necessarily yet lower low. That will be below this 214, 215 area, but we're coming right back into that area again. So again, decisions for me to be made here, and quite frankly, I don't like the look of this one's jib. But the one that I do like, and the one that's kind of showing some promise here, albeit doing it quite slowly, is, yes, this former name that we were involved in right at the beginning of the show. Shout out to my man, Bovin. Bovin, you did a fantastic job of holding VWAP here. You did it once, twice. Obi, he is the one thrice. And look at what you've been doing since then, Bovin. You've been putting a whole bunch of higher highs and higher lows. You're still having to contend, obviously, with that area top at around 15 3/4. But right now, you're taking out 15 1/3 on your way to that $0.50. So if you were involved in this one and you packed your patience off that volume weighted average price, you've been rewarded with a 30, 40 penny winner, at least for the moment, if not more later. 19 point, essentially 20% green on the day, well off the highs. A double top, though, guys, into 16 was quite staunchy at that level. So we'll have to see whether or not it can clear Katina Man, because that was a hell of a rejection there. Adira is at the big desk, if I'm not mistaken.
I still don't have any news on Apple, guys, but UPST to the upside. An individual by the name of Eric Jackson posted that he's built a long position in his company, EMJ Capital, in Upstart, starting with the IPO in December 2020. So if this name sounds a bit familiar, that's because Eric Jackson was also very much responsible for starting all that excitement with Open Door we had a couple weeks ago. About a week before we had the proper pump, as we were starting to get that first initial upside push on that name again, we did have Eric Jackson announcing on X that he's been involved in that name for quite some time. Looks like he's done a similar, or trying to do something similar here with UPST. Massive push on this one, up about $3 here at the highs, already pulling back a bit from that high of day though on UPST. Back to you.
It is like around 1 o'clock. Joey, let me know when things have kind of calmed down on your end there so that we can work into some of these.
Oh, I'm cool as a cucumber, brother. As long as no matter what we're chilling in here, you can see those two positions. So we're just rolling. Ether was our big chicken dinner winner, as my guy Katina Man would like to say here.
Winner. Chicken dinner. You know where I got that one? Remember 21, the movie where they were counting cards in Vegas?
Yeah.
Such a good movie. Did I tell you I actually practiced?
Yeah, same. +1,
Such
+2.
a degenerate.
-1,
And neutral
-2.
cards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
There were
exactly,
zeros,
neutral.
well, +1, -1.
It's crazy that I actually thought I would go to
I just wanted to practice.
Ballsy, and I tried to, but I'm.
But don't they screw that whole thing up by using multiple decks,
We have
right?
5 decks, I'm pretty
yeah, and then that's
you can
impossible.
still you can still use it, right? Like
It's a
some
lot harder though, no?
Yeah. It's significantly harder. But I'm just like, I remember the first time, so I was just like practicing on my own.
It's
and the
hard.
first time I went to the casino to try to put it into actual.
How did it work
not
out?
good. Not good at all, obviously.
It's not even illegal though.
No.
It's just frowned upon, right? Like they'll
Well,
rough
but
you
they
up.
can tell you if you're doing
But
it,
they
right?
can't take away your money. They can just ask you to leave, right? Yeah.
So I remember I'm like, +1. All right, -2, -1.
You were actually saying it out loud.
No, in my head,
okay,
right?
what
In
the
my
hell?
head, I was just like,
Okay,
all right, I
okay.
did it. I wasn't gonna be like, yeah, it's a +2, -1, +2. No, I didn't do that or anything.
Bovin, you're breaking out here, Bovin. I need explanations. What's going on here? Where is my BHVN trade? I think I took it off. Yeah, I did. We're going to take off LiDAR as well. Let's put Bovin, because Bovin is back in play over here. BHVN, literally the ticker on the NYSE? Yeah, the NYSE. I was going to say it was the NQ, but it's the NYSE. Here we go. Bovin, you just got to that $0.50, my man. You talking to me, Katina, man? Okay, I was like, what's going on over there? We're at 1550 right now on BHVN. We're up 21%. Bovin, look, you clear that $0.50 on a decisive basis. We're punching long on you, Bovin, and then we're going to look to take you off that 10 or 20 EMA on the 5, whatever it ends up being. But BHVN curling up nicely off that volume weighted average price, obviously still a lower high until we can clear that 15.75. So you have to be on the lookout for that. But not a bad look here, Bovin. I don't know if you're still in the chat or you're still looking at this one or what, but I'm going to probably work my way into this one at some point. It is called, Assassino wants to know the name of the company I'm calling Bovin. Biohaven, Assassino. It's not a small cap gapper, in fact, brother. It's a $1.58 billion market cap. It is a biopharmaceutical company focused on the discovery, development, and commercialization of treatments in key therapeutic areas, including immunology, neuroscience, and oncology. So now you know, if you didn't know. And let's give you even more information about it here. BHVN, let's talk about the float and the short float. We got a float of, we got good information here. 84 million share float, of which 15.25% is board for short. So we could certainly get a squeeze, and we are breaking here above the $0.50, so it seems. 15.76 the spread, though. It is wide at times. 45 on the bid, 56 on the ask. So it's not going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy to get out, no problem. It may require you getting a bit of a hit with the spread there. So be on the lookout for that. You need to account for that into your share size and as well as your risk management planning there. So I think I'm going to work my way into Bovin over here. Ideally, I'd get in off a pullback and not punch in at high, so I don't have to keep DCAing into that area and be out of the money. So here's the deal. I'm just going to wait at 15 low 40s, okay? That's exactly what I'm going to do. And if I can get a pullback into that area, that will give me a decent, a closer entry into that 10 EMA. It's not quite the 10 EMA, to be fair. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Let's go back to that other piece of, you know what, OPEN, still holding generally this area, but I don't have a lot of ambitions for this one. We'll see what it gets. And then we'll make a decision at the time. FUBO is losing the bid, so we got out of that one. It still ends up being a positive trade for me, though, FUBO. Let's see if this one can get a bounce off VWAP. I perceive VWAP to be about 415, give or take that area. Joey, what do you got, my man?
All right, nice. Good look there, guys. What was I just going to mention? Oh, yeah, AMD. Who are you? Who do you think you are? I am,
What do you don't say less. Say less.
Who do you think you are? Oh, I am.
Very aggressive, eh?
Very aggressive, yeah, for bowling. Imagine. You don't want to, but hey, man, sport's a sport. You get involved in it. It could be darts, and I'm going to try to win that. It doesn't even matter.
So competitive.
It's
so good. Hey, it's not a bad thing, dude.
Oh, dude,
it's not a bad thing
the
at all.
kayak races.
Oh, my God, of course
they
were
were crazy. The thing is, though, I have pure. I don't want to big myself up too much or inflate my head. But I used to go on trips. I told you that. And I spent a lot of times in canoes. So I was just blowing my friends out of the water.
Them,
and some canoe races and kayak races.
Well, they probably knew that you know,
Yeah,
if they're
they
your
knew that
friends,
I did.
they
Yeah,
know
they knew that I
if
did
you're
a
good or
little
not,
something.
right?
Yeah, but they still try to face the wrath of.
face the wrath.
I'm joking. Yeah, cool down a little bit. Hey, just don't inflate your head too much, Joseph. No,
Get
but
it,
AMD is starting to move higher. Oh, by the way, I think I'm gonna go get a new iPhone. Sharif told me to wait for the iPhone 17. I'm getting the 16.
Well, let me show you. Can I show you the 17? Maybe tell me if you like it or not.
As I talk about AMD here, we'll see what we got going on.
17. Joey, it looks, it's fundamentally different. So like they're doing a different camera bump.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, like this looks different, dude. This is not gonna look like the new ones, right?
It's not. That's fair.
Yeah, and it's gonna have a better chip. So if you're gonna ante up full price for the 16, why don't you just ante up 17 full price?
Well, yeah, but I'm not paying FP there on that one.
Are you gonna get
the 2-year, right?
Oh, okay.
You may as well do the 2-year.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you get free financing with a firm. If you were to go through Roger, so a couple of things. I did a trick last time. If you go through your telecom company, I have a plan that doesn't allow me to get an upgrade because the plan is so good. They don't want me. So to get a plan on with the telecom company, I have to change my plan, and it's about $65 a month. If I go through Apple and finance it through a firm, it's $55 a month, and I don't change my plan.
Oh, what's the interest rate on
0.
Oh, bang,
yeah.
right?
They get you on, they charge you fees if you miss payments.
Oh, really?
So if you miss a payment, they'll slap you with a $100 fee. Yeah,
oh, yeah. Really?
That's where they make money.
Good thing your boys got that Canadian rate.
There you go, baby.
The Canada rate credit here. I never really missed payments.
Yeah, Rivian, they're not going to give you the 16 Pro Max for free. They're just not gonna.
No,
it's not possible.
I was looking at the Pro.
Yeah.
See the 16 Pro just to see what we're going on.
You don't want the
was
Max?
the Plus or the Plus. No, man,
don't want the
I don't
big
really
screen?
care. Dude, honestly, the most activity on my phone now is probably Duolingo and me just doing transactions on my brokerage account.
You're doing Duolingo, eh?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Let's see the day streak.
All right, bang. Let's go, man. Any day of the week, my guy.
How many day streak we got?
Well, let me pull it up there.
All right. Click the fire. All right, let's see what we got there.
I had to use a couple of the phrases there, but you know what I mean?
27. All right.
27, man. Come on, man.
All right. No, that's respectable, bro.
Yeah,
That's respectable. That's a month. That's a month worth of work.
A month straight. Touching back up on my Espanol, CC.
Like it.
Yeah, that's what we like to do. But we also don't, I don't remember what we were just talking about. AMD looking pretty good. TQ's working out relatively we're flat on this one here, and then also IBIT as well, guys. So there you go. We're still sitting in this. We did get this little pop. I thought we were going to continue to climb, but you can notice on the volume profile, it was like, there was no effort, and look at the result in the candle there. So no volume, which I'm referring to, an effort, and then the result is the finishing print. That's a pretty big print for having no effort right there, all right? So just keep that in mind. That's how I like to gauge the VPA signals, and then here it is. I mentioned TQs. If we have the ability to just not construct a new high of the day, then maybe we can break through some key support levels and head into the volume-weighted average price. That's going to be the primary target on that one there, Sharif.
All right, let's start the news, guys. We know what to expect after the bell today. It's going to be a big boy earnings party, let's call it that. Meta and Microsoft on deck, excuse me. Two of the Mag 7 names, and anybody who's been watching these two lately knows how well they've been doing. And here's what analysts are expecting. Analysts for Meta, let's start with Meta first. Q2 EPS, they're looking for $5.88 a share on revenue of $44.8 billion. If that in fact materializes, it will be a 15% year-over-year increase in revenue alone. But here there are some silver linings with that huge revenue number. 98% of that revenue comes from Facebook and or Instagram. We know that Meta wants to diversify into a devices company, which means lower gross margins, obviously, on physical products. We're going to have to see guidance with respect to that. They've spent big. Joey was bringing this up. Meta has invested $55 billion, give or take, in AI data centers in the last 9 months, with more money expected on deck. And they've been spending money on hiring people as well, not just these data centers. Big money to poach these researchers from Alphabet, OpenAI, Apple. They're taking whoever they can get, and they're giving them 9-figure signing bonuses. The other thing that I need to bring your attention to is Temu and Shein were big advertisers on Meta. They've been doing a lot of that less lately. Why? Because of the de minimis rule. That $800, sub $800 product was coming into the United States tariff-free. That's what Temu and Shein were relying on, and that's kibosh now with Donald Trump closing that. So as a result, Chinese e-commerce advertisers, in fact, accounted for 11% of Meta's 2024 revenue. We know that they're not spending that much money on it, so I want to hear who the hell is filling that 11% gap if, in fact, Meta or Temu and Shein are spending a lot less. In fact, ad spend from these retailers is down sharply year over year. Whoa. Temu down 87%. Shein down 69% in Q2 of 2025. Watch Wall Street, Joey. We'll watch whether or not new low-cost advertisers can kind of fill in that gap there. I'm going to go on to Microsoft because I pegged them together, and then I'll get you guys to chime in. Now, with respect to Microsoft, the other big name expected after the bell today, we're expecting EPS of $3.38 on revenue of $73.8 billion. Versus the $269 and $64.7 billion we got last year on the quarter. And you better bet your bottom dollar that Azure will be in focus. Their cloud revenue forecast to grow, Joey, 35%, slightly above last quarter, which was 33. But as we recall, Joseph, it was Azure, the only cloud segment of the big three that didn't miss expectations last time. We know AWS and Google Cloud missed, not this past report, the one prior. Also, your favorite, Copilot and AI software demand will be closely watched as that's a growing product. CapEx as well, capital expenditures likely on AI. That was already warned by the company that they will be reducing the amount of money they're spending on AI CapEx into 2026. They've earmarked already how much they're going to spend in 2025. And the strong performance we saw from ServiceNow during their revenue report will be seen kind of as a read-through for enterprise as well as good software strength. The stock is up 22% year to date, Joseph.
Yeah. I think what we were talking about with Microsoft being the one from the previous quarter, the only one to beat on cloud growth. I think it's going to be the same thing. I think they beat, right? We're talking about AI spend and how these hyperscalers are just continuously just funneling money into the AI infrastructure. So I think Azure is going to be one of the beneficiaries of that. So I'm a really big fan of what they got going on there for sure.
Adair.
Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to say here, Boeing really quickly as well, a little bit of news. Airbus, we know they had earnings. The CEO of the company is saying that they Boeing has a, quote, powerful sales guy in Trump. So interesting little note there. Likely, of course, because Boeing is American, and we know Trump is very pro-American built and American made. Yeah, in terms of Meta and Microsoft, Meta's been doing a really interesting dance with like the 710 level. I'll pull it up on a daily chart. In terms of the actual earnings, I really like, Sharif, that you mentioned what's happening here with regards to the amount of money they must be spending on hiring. We don't really have everything confirmed, but we know they're like offering bonuses in the multi-hundreds of millions. Apparently, they also recently tried to poach Mira Murati's almost her entire team at her new thinking lab. Apparently, everyone rejected it. But either way, interesting note there. So it's like, if this is what they're willing to spend, how is that going to impact their earnings? Because I think it could be pretty significant. CapEx always for something like Meta is interesting. And I think ads, because stuff like Meta and Snapchat, they're very often viewed as ad companies. I definitely think the de minimis rule is not to be underestimated in terms of how that might impact this stock. And even maybe more importantly, Snapchat going forward as well.
Point, yeah.
Wow.
Get it,
That is crazy. I have not seen that.
Yeah, that was a new one, brother.
Absolutely insane.
They did that one while you were gone.
Wow.
But you had something to say about Temu and Shein before we go on.
So again, I'm not exposed to social media to some degree like some individuals, right?
Okay.
What I have noticed on my exposure is that the ads have significantly fallen off a cliff. It used to be the only things that I've seen ever. Temu, Shein.
Interesting.
Now it's significant.
You've noticed that,
I've noticed that.
Okay,
I've noticed that. Now that you mentioned that, now that I've noticed it, it's like there's not so much because every other ad was either Temu or Shein. It's like hit that free spin. Hit that thing where you're getting 60% off. Not seeing it. And back to add to what Adair's point there as well too, CapEx is going to be really, really big. If they kind of exceed that, you might see a little bit of a sell-off there in Meta because we are near some lower ends of the range. But those are something that I'm really, really going to be focusing on as well too. I mentioned that with like Google, obviously with Google Cloud. But for me, it's cap expenditure right now for Meta, in my opinion.
All right, man. I love it. Let's go on. We'll talk about Morgan Stanley and the triple upgrade they gave today for the semiconductor sector. Let's start with everybody's favorite, NVDA. They raised the price target up to $200, up from 170, basically citing exceptional AI supply and demand trends. Analyst Joseph Moore sees a 14% upside from yesterday's close and maintained that overweight rating on Nvidia. He notes, though, the acceleration in inference workloads as a key driver. Now, I need to pause here for a second. We know that AI chips are used for two different roles. There's training and there's inference. The H100, the previous gold standard for NVIDIA, that was really good for training, not so good for inference. That all changed with Blackwell. Blackwell can do both very well now, both inference and training, so that you have to assume that they will take some of the market share for the chips that were doing the inference workload. So this is why Morgan Stanley's pointing this out. They see even more TAM, even more market expansion with the Blackwell chip as it's able to do both roles. The upcoming Blackwell product cycle, they say, is going to be a major revenue tailwind for processors, networking, and memory. And as we know, NVIDIA shares already up 31% year to date from yesterday's close. China-specific boost as well cannot be understated, with the H20 back on the table and a 300,000 chip order that came in yesterday. We're looking at some real big revenue expansion into the near future. Now, that all sounds great. Let me give you another piece of information with respect to China. That 300,000 H20 order he got yesterday, he's not going to be able to make one of those for another 9 months. There is a 9-month lag right now because Taiwan Semi ain't got the production capacity to restart production on the H20 after it was halted as a result of the ban. So keep that in mind. Future gain, but not immediately right away. AMD, we're going to do AMD and Broadcom, then we'll go on. AMD also had their price target raised by Morgan from 121 up to a very healthy 185, which implies a 4% upside from yesterday's close. They did, however, maintain the equal weight rating rather than giving it an overweight rating. They have performed, AMD that is, they have outperformed Nvidia year to date, up 47% versus the 31% by Nvidia, at least based on yesterday's close. And the analysts here for AMD, they see it benefiting really from a resumed product cycle and its access to China. So good luck. It wasn't just the H20 that was banned, Joey, from the China's market. There was an AMD chip as well. Last but not least here, Morgan also raised the price target on Broadcom up from 270 to 338, implying a 13% upside from yesterday's close, reiterating, I should say, their overweight rating. And the analyst here highlights the AI-driven demand coming from networking for Broadcom as really opposed to processors, Joey.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. I think, so going back to your AMD little bit there, I think the ship really started to turn during their keynote. I think that was really, really big.
Bang.
When Lisa said, hey, 2026, we're getting the MI400 coming out, which I think is going to be a really big thing.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure Stargate is going to be using a lot of those chips as well, too. And
Agree.
an abundance of those chips, so that's a really good look there on AMD. But as for NVDA, you guys know, as soon as I heard those golf deals being made, Sharif, it was a wrap for me. It's like buy.
Yeah.
And then the H20 was put back on the table. It's like you buy more of it. You buy more.
Crazy.
So yeah, I think that's
I
think that was some big time stuff. I think this boom is going to continue and it's going to be sustained for quite some time.
Daryl Page.
Trip Gabriel. Yeah, AMD I kind of want to focus on here because AMD seems like the least optimistic of these. The price target increase had the least upside from the closing price yesterday, and AMD also got a negative analyst note today as well from DZ Bank. They did a double downgrade here, Sharif and Joe, from buy to sell with a $150 price target. It was actually on our upgrades and downgrades this morning. So, I mean, AMD, the stock, does not care. This is a really great look here, trying to push higher, but we are very well removed from yesterday's high of day of that 182 level. So AMD's been like very memey, squeezy, however you want to put it, over the last few days. I'll move to the 15-minute chart. we're going to have to see here. I mean, we do have some semiconductor earnings tonight, specifically ARM, that could provide some interest in this sector in terms of sympathy plays. Either way, AMD, I think, probably is the most to lose in terms of this uptrend as of late and the level of interest in the stock. Gonna have to wait and see what happens, but I do think contextualizing that with that double downgrade from DZ Bank is worth noting.
Thanks for that, Adair. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think AMD does have the most to lose because they have had the most aggressive uptrend of the bunch. And you kind of feel like we've seen this before, Joey. You know, people ride the coattails of a good trend. So how much of the trend in AMD is fraud, at least in the short term, not saying long term. We know they got the goods long term. At least in the short term, there might be some froth. So if we get a retracement, we could get a bit of a deeper retracement.
And I mean, I totally agree with you on that because AMD is a repeat offender of what it's been doing, what we experienced, right, with that all-time high of around $225. But this isn't the first time AMD's done that, Sharif. Like, look at this. Look at this bear market of 21, right? It was hit substantially harder than some of the other names.
Absolutely.
But then what does it do? It recovered. It takes time for it to recover. And this is what I'm referring to as just it being a repeat offender on what it's done from a technical standpoint. Like, we all know what this was. I remember this day like it was yesterday.
That was like right after the election, right?
That was it was something along those lines. I don't remember, but NVDA and AMD topped at that time. This was into March of 24. I remember this exact day. Everybody was so bullish on the chips, and then boom, just like that, things changed, and the sentiment in the stock changed, and it took it over a year and a bit to get back in its groove, right? So that's April of 25, and when did it peak? March of 24, so over a year, AMD was in a bearish.
I agree.
So,
and
again,
that's a long downtrend.
Long. We'll even zoom out and go to a weekly, and this is what I'm referring to. It's not the first time it's done it, right? Like you can see they go back to 21. You were in one until 22, right? So whatever is November of 22, and then you're in a bearish trend until October of 22.
But it's bucking the trend completely over here. This area right here should show it. Yeah, this entire area, Nvidia was making higher highs, and this thing's dropping.
It was just doing its own thing. And for being a number two, the race was supposed to be between NVDA and AMD, and things changed really fast when Broadcom started to catch steam, and NVDA was striking deals left, right, and center.
Bang. Let's talk a little SoFi, launching $1.5 billion stock offering to raise capital. So they announced they've underwritten a public offering for $1.5 billion in common stock. Underwriting this offering is Goldman Sachs, acting as the lead underwriter, and the deal does include a 30-day option for underwriters to buy an additional 15% of the offered shares. So not a bad look. Now, some of the things they're going to use the money for, we get this general corporate purposes kind of headline for working capital, potential business development, or acquisition opportunities. It's all a good look, but really is going to come down to what they spend the money on. And what we've been seeing a lot lately, at least for some of the smaller companies, is taking capital and adding some sort of cryptocurrency on your balance sheet. Lately, it's been ETH. Before that, it was Bitcoin. So it'll be definitely interesting to see what they want to use the money for. Are they going to acquire some smaller fintech companies like we saw Hood do? You know, Hood bought that Kevin O'Leary WonderFi company in Canada. So looking to expand sort of at an all-cost kind of approach. Does SoFi take that route, or are they going to use money for something different over here? So that is definitely something to be looking at there, Dara. How do you feel about this one?
Honestly, yeah, I think with SoFi, these offerings are kind of standard. I think it is a bit unfortunate, though, because as you can see here, the 15-minute chart from earnings is like beautiful earnings push of like $5. We gave that all back as of the pre-market. Now, we're trying to push a little bit higher, but yeah, you have to understand they're trying to raise money for whatever vague corporate purposes, but it does impact the shareholders too, right? The people who are holding the stock, who believe in the stock, especially like a kind of, for lack of a better term, meme play like this. So kind of mixed on it. I think we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. I think to answer your question earlier, I highly doubt Robinhood does any kind of offering. I think Vlad Tenev has many more things up his sleeve and in his shortened haircut that I don't really think we're gonna have to worry about that type of concern. But yeah, it's interesting to see, and I think this really stellar report could pave the way for a week full of fintech-related names. Coinbase, we have tomorrow as well, in addition to Robinhood today. I guess the other two are more crypto, but we have MSTR and Riot later this week as well. So there's a lot of this fintech-type earnings space to be aware of. SoFi certainly kind of paving the way for that. Same with PayPal yesterday as well.
I agree. I don't really think Robinhood adds anything either. I think, they're likely going to use any money that they have to make acquisitions like we're seeing they're doing right now. Joey, kind of how do you feel about SoFi?
SoFi, yeah, I like it. I'm trying to pull it up here. I did like it just from a fintech standpoint. And like you mentioned, I just briefly went over some of the numbers, and it was some big time beats, right? And that's what you want to see with some of these names that are continuously growing. We've seen it in Robinhood is what I was getting at, and then the earlier stages of NVDA from things that I can recall. So let me pull up SoFi, and we'll take a look at it from a technical standpoint. But I don't know. I don't think they need to do this. I don't know what their free cash flow is or anything along those lines, if they're raising capital. But again, just from that April low, Sharif,
yes, sir.
You get to that 194%.
That's an ugly topping tail candle.
It's
though.
extremely,
we'll see if it closes that way,
ugly.
But yeah.
This was the earnings, right? And then this is today.
I thought it was a weekly.
So a nice recovery here, but this is like, as you mentioned, that's a lot of volume to battle against.
Oh yeah.
So just keep an eye out on this, and obviously it's outpacing what the overall market is, considering that it's up. It was like 100 and something percent, 191% from that April low to that $25 top. That's a big-time return, big-time signal, and we've seen them across a couple of the other fintech names. Now, who's been hitting more? Obviously, they're not in the same space, but look, this was almost a massive candle right here. Look at the volume supporting it, and then you've seen the likes of Coinbase. You get what was it, from the peak to the trough? A 20% pullback, essentially. And the same thing in the likes of Robinhood, right?
Okay.
Some of these fintech names topped out. It only needed a little bit to do so, considering the run that they've been on, with the exception of Robinhood, because it's now recovering, but 13% from that peak to trough, you're getting that bit of a retracement, and I think you're going to experience something like that in SoFi as well, too, Sharif.
All right. I want to mention that we have an IPO tomorrow. Figma IPOs tomorrow. It's officially set to begin trading tomorrow on the NYSE under ticker symbol FIG, okay? The company is expected to raise its IPO price range at $30 to $32, up from $25 to $28. So be on the lookout for that. Mark your calendars if you're into trading these IPOs. FIG, Figma, tomorrow. Price range, likely 30 to 32, but that's not what it's gonna open at. We'll see what it opens at. So that's a good IPO. Shout out to Fox Gaming Official 03 for mentioning that. Thank you, my friend, for pointing that out. I do appreciate it. Let's go on and talk about the Fed meeting, which is now only, the rate decision is half an hour away. The press conference is an hour, but widely expected for the FOMC to hold their interest rate decision steady at 4.25 to 4.5 during or today. Two Fed governors, though, so it's a bit of a wild card now. Christopher Waller, and Michelle Bowman possibly here could vote to actually cut rates, and it'll be the first time a multi-governor dissent has actually taken place at the FOMC since 1993. Now, we know Christopher Waller, he's in a notable position here because he's potentially seen as a successor to Jerome Powell. He's not the leading candidate if you look at the betting markets, but a candidate nonetheless. So again, possibly two dissenting votes today. If that happens, it'll be the first time since '93 it's happened. Now, there are political overhangs on this. Let's be realistic. Fed Chair Powell is under a lot of pressure from Donald Trump, who visited the Fed last week, which is hilarious. We'll show you a short about that one after, criticizing the Fed over their cost overruns for the renovations. And he's also pushing, Jerome Powell, quite aggressively to cut rates so that they can get the national debt servicing costs down, as well as boost the real estate market. Obviously, being a former real estate guy himself, he's probably all about that. Waller argues here, Christopher Waller, who could dissent today, we'll see. He argues the labor market is kind of on the edge and the tariffs are not fueling inflation as people fear, weakening the Fed's rationale for inaction. However, his speech titled "The Case for Cutting Now," no bones about that, reflects the growing support for the preemptive easing if inflation remains near target, Joey. With no economic projections or dot plot, as I mentioned, to be released today with the Fed rate decision. The markets are really going to be listening to what Jerome Powell has to say during that Q&A with reporters for September rate cuts, which are still being priced in by the bond market for September. So if that doesn't happen, we're going to get a reaction over here, especially if he gives us the impression that September rate cuts are not guaranteed or maybe off the table. So the current base case, by the way, remains at a cut in September, but that is contingent, Joey, on further data. I'm just going to cut to Adara. She's got breaking news, and we'll get back.
And then we'll get right back here for sure.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of thoughts on this I'm excited to discuss, but it is worth noting, keep an eye on Warner Brothers apparently laying off 10% of their motion picture group, as reported by Variety. Meanwhile, Fitch, the credit rating agency, downgrading on its outlook on United Health Group to negative. Not super shocking, but either way, UNH and WBD on watch. Back to you. Oh, okay, I can do that. Sorry, I was trying to focus on the news. So yeah, with regards to what Sharif said there, Christopher Waller is viewed as a candidate. When I made this infographic, probably like a couple months ago now, Christopher Waller was, as Sharif alluded to, he's like very low on the poll in terms of people who they're expecting to be the new Fed chair. When I made this infographic, Kevin Hassett was in the bottom spot, but now he's actually quite quickly emerged. I still think it's going to be one of the Kevins, either Hassett or worse. But either way, if Christopher Waller, who it's worth noting was appointed by Trump, if he was chosen, that could obviously switch things up. That could be pretty interesting as well. I did some research on it, and they have previously, as we know from Powell, selected sitting Fed governors or previous Fed governors as well to be the chair. Now, with regards to these cuts, generally Powell does wear purple when he cuts. Obviously, this is a completely, you can look at this thread. This is a very long thread I made a while ago. And there actually is some merit to suggest that Fed Chair Powell's tie colors have a little bit to do with rates. The reason I bring this up now, though, is with regards to politics of his decision. Fed Chair Powell has literally not worn blue or red ties since the end of 2023. That seems to be a bit of a political decision because he said himself that he likes purple ties because they're politically neutral. With that in mind, this man does not want to appear biased. I don't think he necessarily caves to Trump, but we'll have to see if Bowman or Waller, both of whom have slight connections here in terms of appointments to Trump. We'll have to see what they do. For what it's worth, Waller has said that if he does dissent, it's not going to be political. As Sharif alluded to, he has actual technical reasons for that opinion.
What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, my thoughts.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think that we should stick with a pause. I like the pause. I don't want to see a cut. Why? Because think about it. When did QT start?
When?
22, right?
Yes.
22? Okay, so how long did it take to get somewhat price stability to hit that 2% inflation goal? How many years later? We're now in 2025 in the second half of 2025.
Right.
Do I want any chance of reigniting that? No, hit the goal, hit that target, and then start to cut. You're relatively close. You may as well go. Yeah. You're almost at the finish line. Wait to do so, and then you can place cuts. That's just my opinion.
That's fair.
Right? I mention this all the time. The Fed has dual mandate. Maximum employment, price stability.
Yes.
So why are you going to try to affect one? I get it. The economy is robust. Everything is looking good. But why try to reignite inflation by doing a simple 25, 50 basis point cut when you're almost at that 2% target? That's just my opinion. Just wait until you get there, and then you can base a cut off of that. I know a lot of people want the cut. I understand that. Yeah. But would you rather be paying more? Would your rate of change, would you rather have a rate of change of the cost of goods continuously grow instead of just being patient to wait to hit that 2% and then you can cut?
That's fair. I get your, yeah, I completely get it. Adara, look at the screen. So he had a purple tie on there. Okay, this is when Trump came to visit.
He does it. If you look back, he used to wear blue a lot more frequently before things. And oddly enough, I think he mostly wore blue during the Biden administration. But I think that he started wearing the purple because he didn't want to come off as political. And in case you guys are thinking, Adara, you can't read Jerome Powell's mind. I know because he's told us. He's a very vocal man. But I loved these hard hats, and I was so sad I didn't cover this live for you guys. I watched these from my home in Winnipeg.
Thank you. All right, let's go on over here. Let's go on to the next one. Novo Nordisk. We all saw what happened to this one yesterday. More bloodshed in this stock as well. Well, it was anyway down on the day when I did the review. Let's see what's it at right now. It's still down about 5.5%, a little bit more. So the shares fell, guys, yesterday, 21.83%, down about $54 after cutting its 2025 sales growth forecast down to 8 to 14%, but it's coming from a ways away. So 8 to 14 could sound fantastic for a normal company, but they were guiding 13 to 21. So down quite substantially here on that forecast. The operating profit margin as well, guidance, was also slashed down 10 to 16% from a previous 16 to 24, sparking the stock's worst single-day drop in years. And the HIMS partnership here actually being, pegged as one of the reasons. So analysts are arguing that the fallout with HIMS and HERS, ticker HIMS obviously, may have contributed to the sharp sell-off. Hear me out. Futurum's Shea Bolur, I don't want to butcher this guy's name, but I probably already did, believes that Novo could have preserved some of their market dominance by embracing HIMS kind of direct-to-consumer channel, but Novo cited HIM's alleged violation of personalized medicine laws as the reason for the partnership termination. Both companies now are embroiled in lawsuits, raising the regulatory risk and investor concerns, Joey. So we'll let you do something, and then we'll get back to talking.
Right on. New traders, listen up. First month, free. That's right. We're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite, analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform, it's everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with backtesting, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips, all in one platform. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code. Check the link in the description, guys. Yeah.
What do you think?
Of Novo?
Yeah.
This thing, oh man, this thing's, when I say it sucks to suck, it really sucks to suck sometimes, man.
That's funny.
I mean, yeah, and this what's going on here from the lows. Yeah, really low, 66%, man. So in order to just get back to where you were, you're going to need 120% return, which I don't even more, I guess, a good math, 190. So I really,
tough one there.
Yeah, it's a tough look, man. I don't know if you can ever recover from this. Like Joe Exotic said, I don't know if I'll ever be able to financially recover from that. I don't know if you remember that specific scene there, Sharif.
I never watched it.
Oh, you never watched? Oh my God! So the guy,
Isn't he in jail?
Yeah, he's in big time jail. So anyways, sorry to go off track. The guy loses a limb, and then Joe Exotic is like, yeah, I'll never be able to financially recover from this. Right? So, so even though the poor guy lost a part of his body, but I don't know if you'll ever be able to financially recover from what Novo Nordisk has done.
Adira, you trade these a lot.
Yeah.
What's your thought on this whole thing?
Been in Novo. I've been in Novo Nordisk. I'm actually adding to Novo Nordisk short right now. Like, I'll pull up the chart, but yeah, I mean, these are the type of things I look at. Lilly wasn't quite giving me the goods in the way, this is UPS. Lilly wasn't quite giving me the goods in the way I wanted to, but like Novo Nordisk, look at this. Yesterday, this thing just chopped all day. It was sideways and it was accordion. I think today, like Novo just keeps rejecting the VWAP. It's kind of playing with that AVWAP from the event. I think these names, as Neil said, they're going to be short until they're not. With regards to the CEO, I think it's pretty interesting. I mentioned this yesterday. I think what Novo's trying to do is pull a bit of an Elliott Hill. Who is Elliott Hill, you might ask? That is the CEO of Nike that they just added. Now, Elliott Hill was a massive veteran here for Nike. He worked there for years. He retired before he was appointed, he came back to the company. But regardless, Elliott Hill, we didn't really know his name, but he did a lot behind the scenes. Now, the new CEO of Novo, Maziar Mike Dustar, is the same situation. He's been at Novo for over 30 years in executive roles, but nothing really outward facing. So I think the choice to appoint him is interesting. It shows they want someone who's familiar with the company and is going to get a chance to prove themselves. Now, whether or not Elliott Hill's proved himself, to use the Nike example again, that's unclear, but the choice to pick a company insider is always an interesting one. Why train someone on the outs of the company? You can't always get a Brian Nickel, right? Sometimes you need an Elliott Hill. So let's see if their Elliott Hill works out for them. But this Novo Nordisk chart is maybe one of the grossest bear flags I've ever seen.
Big drop there. That's not small, man.
You can't ever financially recover from that.
In a downtrend. It's not like it was in an uptrend and then the exuberance kind of gave way. So,
Derek, you're short that. Let's see it. Yeah. Let's see what we got going on. You're short that there.
Yeah, so here we go. I actually just got back in. I got stopped out. I'll zoom in a bit because, yeah, there we go. Got stopped out a bit like right here initially, but I got in basically when we broke 51s in the morning. 50 we initially bounced at really well, but we kept projecting VWAP. We're still having lower highs, lower lows. As far as I can see it, as Neil said, short until it's not. I have no problem getting stopped out for profit like the first attempt because you know what? If it's still valid, you just hop right back in. This thing is still losing weight. Sorry to borrow that pun from Obi, but I admit it in the past as well. This stock is on a probably permanent diet for quite a while. We're going to have to wait and see if this new CEO is a turnaround. But right now, for the sake of my shorts, at least I hope things stay the same for the day.
Good look there, Dara. Let's go on to Starbucks. Today, they reported earnings, and it was quite good. Let's see where SBUX is at right now, percentage-wise on the day. Where are we at? SBUX, show yourself. We're actually red on the day. What the hell? We're negative 0.13, essentially flat. But here's what they did, guys. Q3 revenue came in at $9.5 billion, beating the estimate of 9.31. Earnings per share were 50 pennies. But it's unclear if the EPS here is actually comparable to the 65 pennies expected. So hard to see if it was a miss. There was a one-time tax event loss that's skewing things. And that also played into the net income side of things. Last year on the quarter, they took home $1.05 billion in take-home net profit money. That was almost cut by half. As a result of that one-time tax and event cost, they took home $558.3 million. At least they're still profitable. Let's talk about how they did geographically, because it doesn't all fall in the same way. Global same-store sales, Joey, fell 2%, but that was worse than what the street wanted. The street was looking for a decline of 1.3 here globally. North America, it slid. We all knew it was going to slide 2%, but here's the deal. It's actually down a little bit less. The street was looking for 2.5%. Note the breaking news there on the bottom of your screen. And there was also a 3% transaction decline in North America, and offset a little bit here by a 1% increase in the average ticket, meaning that the average transaction cost was up 1%, meaning they were making more money. China was the first positive comp in 6 quarters. Finally, looks like they're bottoming out there with an increase of 2% in same-store sales. But again, more bad, with the good here, lower average ticket size. So people were not spending as much on average per transaction. But the turnaround is in motion, according to the new CEO, Brian Niccol. He said the comeback is ahead of schedule despite the weak headline numbers. Starbucks also reducing their U.S. store expansion to get a hold on CapEx. They're focusing instead on revitalizing their current cafes, as well as restoring that seating to kind of boost traffic. I mean, I wouldn't mind some more comfy seats in that, you know what. They also have something called the Green Apron and their Green Apron Initiative, as well as their labor investment. So about $500 million in labor investment is planned with the national rollout of what they're calling the Green Apron Service, a hospitality-focused initiative, they say. Early success has been seen in certain test markets where they've been kind of trying out this Green Apron Service. They're looking to accelerate expansion if it's warranted. And they're also taking here a generational view to their customers. They saw they were weak with Gen Z, probably a lot of reasons why that's the case. We're not going to go into them here, but they are really now focusing on college campus licensed stores. They reported really positive same-store sales for those locations, signaling an improvement here with some Gen Z. Let's talk a little China before we send it to your boy Joey. Starbucks has cut prices in China to kind of compete with Luckin Coffee, which is a Chinese kind of coffee shop there. But the company is actually considering, Joey, a partial stake sale of its China operations, valued at roughly about $10 billion, with about 20 plus interested buyers, if you believe the reports.
That's very interesting. Do you think Starbucks here, I guess in Canada, it's more or less Canadian things to compete with Tim Hortons?
Starbucks?
Yeah.
You think? Yeah,
you think so?
They're $1 off the coffee. If I was to get a large coffee, Tim's is about $2 and Starbucks is about $3.
$3?
Correct?
Okay,
yeah.
well, I mean, 33% lower, it's pretty substantial. It adds up over time.
100% it adds
But
up.
I'll tell you one
every
thing.
day, multiple times. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. So I was up north in Gravenhurst, Ontario.
Yes, sir.
For those who are unfamiliar. The closest town was literally 20 minutes away, 25 minutes away. It doesn't matter, you're right on everything. The Starbucks lineup, when my friends and I went there that one morning.
It's crazy.
crazy.
Of course.
The wait time, crazy.
Yeah.
I ordered a third. I don't even
hate that.
drink. I don't even drink coffee. So I ordered just a normal juice, a thirst quencher, whatever they want to call it. And my boys ordered a plain iced coffee, an Americano, etc. We got 5 drinks in total. We
How
were
long you
waiting
wait?
in there a half an hour.
That's brutal.
A half an hour.
You know what the trick is, though, right?
You got to pre-order that.
You know that, yes. But they got the 3 different coffees there. They got the Pike, they got the dark roast, and they have a blonde, I think. If you get the pre-made coffee, the actual cashier gets it for you, and then you leave.
It's done.
If it goes down the line, that's it. It's over. You're waiting.
30 minutes we were in there, and I said, you know what? I already tell Selena I'm not going to Starbucks. I'm never going to Starbucks with you guys again.
Adara, how do you feel about this?
I have thoughts on Starbucks. I even joked to Sean yesterday. This is something that I have enough material on. I would even write a short report. I have no issue with Brian Niccol, but I think as someone who is a Starbucks customer, I do have some concerns and qualms, shall we say. I have qualms about some of his choices with the business, and I think he does run the risk of alienating some Starbucks consumers. For example, now charging extra for additional matcha in matcha drinks. That was never done before, and I think if people realize, hey, I don't want to pay extra for this, they're going to go to a competitor that will not charge them extra for the product. I think that is legitimately a concern, and I think Starbucks in general, no shortage to CEO turnover. Howard Schultz served as CEO 3 times, so I think like Starbucks is kind of used to this turnover. They're used to chaos. I think Brian Niccol is doing a fair job of weathering the storm, but I'm just going to say, Brian Niccol, I'm speaking right to you. Maybe, we just need to give him a little shrug. Okay, he did that back at Chipotle, in case you guys missed that little video where he was shrugging. I honestly think, Brian, stop trying to get all these Sharpies for everybody so they can write Sharpies on the cups again. I don't need 200,000 Sharpies. I need mobile orders prioritized again, and I want matcha, and I'm being very serious. I do think that these are concerns because if people don't order at Starbucks, how is Starbucks going to have revenue? I'm aware I went on a rant, but I do think this is a fundamental concern for the company. Technically, we can tell that traders gapped up, sold it back off. We're now back below VWAP. I don't like it.
I mean, let's thank you for that, Adair, very much. I mean, let's take a look at this name from a technical standpoint as well, too. Let's zoom out and see if we can get a weekly, and this will work for us. Do you personally want to be invested in this?
Jeez, it's compressing, though.
Right?
So lower highs but higher lows.
It is compressing, right? But again, when you want to see price compression, you want to see some strength within the fundamentals as well, too. Is it there? Slight decline, but I mean, it is what it is. Do you want to be involved in this? I don't even know if they offer a dividend, to be honest with you. And if they don't, then I don't even want to be involved.
Oh, do they offer a divvy? They do, yeah.
Do they?
61 pennies a share.
All right, that's not bad. That's not bad, right? So that's not horrible. Other than that, I get
the 15th. Anybody waiting 2 weeks, you'll get it.
Its growth cycle, I think, is now we're in the past for that, right? That's in the rearview mirror, Sharif. When you're in 2009 is when you've seen that exponential growth in Starbucks.
Well, that was the financial crisis, right?
So
let's do a little LG, Joseph, because Tesla signed a big boy deal yesterday with LG to the tune of $4.3 billion. It's for these, I don't want to call them new type of batteries, but they're newer. They're called LFP, so $4.3 billion supply contract with Tesla and LG for these lithium iron phosphate batteries, LFP for short, lithium ion phosphate batteries. The batteries are going to come from LG's Michigan factory, which is also going to obviously help Tesla reduce the dependency it has on Chinese exports, because those are 50-some-odd% tariffs now and could go up. Who knows? The deal will run, so it's 2 years from now, August 2027 it starts. It goes all the way to July 30th, but there is an option, according to our friend Elon, to extend it 7 years, as well as increase the amount of volume that they're getting from LG. So I do like that. And it's obviously made in America. This is the shift, made in America. We see reshoring everywhere, not just America, as other states become more protectionist. Tesla CFO had flagged that tariffs on Chinese LFP imports were disproportionately affecting its energy storage division. We know Tesla doesn't just sell cars. They have solar panels. They have energy storage, which is what we're going to talk about next. It's one of their biggest growth engines, believe it or not. Tesla's energy business now makes up over 10% of its revenue, outpacing its EV unit growth, and Elon emphasized on the call that battery demand on the last earnings calls, saying not many people appreciate how just gigantic this is. He's obviously a person with an affinity for hyperbole, but his point is well taken here. And just to give you an idea, Tesla plans on starting in-house, not export or imports, LFP production in their Nevada plant by the year end, but it's only going to cover a small amount of what they actually need. Total demand is still, Joey, likely to come from LG, but not a bad start to this LFP push.
No. I mean, see, the thing is, though, previous quarter, I believe that Tesla beat on the energy storage group, and then they missed the previous one, right? I was surprised by that, to be honest with you. But as for just owning Tesla stock, just not right now. It's just not. I don't think that's the time. And I mentioned this, I believe, before I left. Is that this is probably the most forward-looking stock in the whole market. Okay. Right? Rightfully so. And that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Right?
Tesla? No question about it.
Yeah, Tesla.
One of. Yeah. No question about it.
Easily the most forward-looking stock in the market, in my opinion. Okay. What are we waiting for, Optimus? All right, we're waiting for some more robo-taxi to be released. We're waiting for the Model 2. We're waiting for so much. There's so much. You got to start delivering. You can't just be promising all these things.
It's true, bro.
That you eventually have to start moving. I think the Roadster is swept under the rug. I don't think we're ever going to see that.
It's not a high margin product, Joey. How many are they going to make?
You're right, exactly. Well, I mean, obviously for the Tesla heads, they want to get involved. Yeah, involved.
It's not one of the ones that moves the needle, though.
Outside of that, it's not. No, it's the two.
Yeah.
It's the two.
100% it's the two.
It's the two, and then how fast can Optimus grow as well?
Yeah, that's another important one, man.
And obviously autonomy. Autonomy, I think autonomy is going to be the biggest thing on the planet. In the near future, I mentioned this, I used this analogy before. When I was a kid, we used to be on pedal scooters, right? You'd use your own foot. You'd hit your friends in the shin with the scooter, because it'd be funny, because it hurt a lot, right? Now it's all electric. I think it's going to be the exact same thing. You're used to driving everywhere. No, people are lazy. We're going to want to sit back and read a book and scroll on our phones and shop on Temu and do all these other things that you don't want to control your vehicle and you don't want to drive it. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. And I think that window is a lot bigger than what we're expecting it. I don't expect, especially here north of the border, I don't see that happening for another 5-10 years probably.
All right, Adara, any thoughts on the Tesla LG deal for these LFP batteries?
Too, I just want to let you guys know, Trump is saying that he's hearing that the Fed is going to cut rates in September. He's just speaking right now. I just want to let you guys know, he said Powell is always too late. Even if he cuts rates today, he'll still be too late. So just letting you guys know that's happening. In terms of Tesla, this is definitely a bit of a bear flag here in the 3-minute chart with TSLA. One thing I found was really interesting is the way I was seeing this story emphasized a little bit was beyond the fact that we have these batteries, it was also being viewed as a play with South Korea, because we know we had that story earlier this week, right? Samsung. Now we have another story here in Asia with LG. So that's kind of an interesting element. Are they going to continue to expand their reach? I think Tesla being viewed as more than just a car company is usually viewed as very bullish. So good luck here for TSLA. Also, guys, Trump is still answering questions. I'll keep you guys posted. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Shout out to I Am Sir for the $10 super chat. We just followed. Yo, my boys, can you please explain to people why not zero rate cuts for the U.S. today is bullish or bearish? Love you guys. Love the show. LFGO. Look, man, if there is a rate cut, it will certainly take the market by surprise. And so I personally feel if we do get a rate cut, which probably won't, you're going to see a very aggressive move up in the market because the market's not predicting it. So it'll be a bit of a wild card there. That's just my estimation. Now, if we don't get the rate cut, which is what the market is expecting, I don't personally see any major reaction. You're going to get a zig, you're going to get a zag, but it is what the market is already currently discounting. So unless there's something novel that's said during the press conference, I don't think we change on that. Joey, just for time purposes, I'm just going to go on to the next one over here.
Go Marvell.
Let's talk about Marvell, because Marvell was a big, where are they right now? Marvell, MRVL, show yourself, please. We're up nicely, 8%. So Marvell, has entered into a new partnership with Rebellions Incorporated, which is a South Korean AI semiconductor firm. The alliance targets here sovereign scale AI deployments. They're not looking to commercialize this. They want to get in on the sovereign. Sovereign means governments, okay, guys? Across the Asia Pacific and the Middle East, focusing on what they call custom infrastructure. And that's what Marvell does. They create custom chips, much like Broadcom. The deal centers around energy-efficient, high-performance AI accelerators using Marvell's customizable platform. The emphasis, though, for this deal will be on domain-specific architecture, which is a complete shift for the company, which is basically based on traditional GPU systems and to tailor AI compute for national use. So it's a sovereign angle here, Joey. The initiative really is aligning with the global trends towards a national AI sovereignty and infrastructure independence. You don't want to be relying on something as important as AI, whether it has military, commercial, financial applications, if you're picking up or depending on the servers being in a different country.
Absolutely. You don't want to be doing that whatsoever, Sri. Very, very valid point. But just, again, look at this. Look at this signal right here. This could be a potential topping signal as well, too. So keep an eye out on this one. Just going over things from a technical standpoint. You get the gap up, and then now you're starting to cool off. Indecision print at a high. But guys, it's 155. I forgot. That's why we're gonna roll. I thought we were gonna continue this rolling. So we'll wrap this up quick, guys. We got the Fed rate decision coming up in a matter of minutes. We're off to a dare, guys.